Live from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents NCAA Division II baseball coverage on the ECC network. In today's conference matchup, the College of Staten Island Dolphins host the Molloy University Lions. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Foreman, joined on the call by my broadcast partner, Nick Bavona. And Nick, this is the first time that the Dolphins will host a game here at the CSI Baseball Complex this season. It is also their first taste of conference play this year against a very tough Molloy team that is coming off a conference championship.
Yeah, and I think, Joe, we've spoken about it so far for the Dolphins this season. Obviously, not a great start to the year for CSI, but you and I kind of mentioned this to our last broadcast that we were on the air for. You kind of throw all those first games of the season out the window once conference play begins. And this is a great chance for CSI to reestablish themselves this season and get back on the right track. A tough game, as you mentioned, against this Molloy team that is coming off a conference championship last season. We'll talk a little bit more after this next break because we have the national anthem coming up.
Anthem about to begin, lineups about to be introduced, and we will be back shortly with starting lineups and first pitch in this conference matchup between the Lions and Dolphins. We are back from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island ahead of today's East Coast Conference matchup between the College of Staten Island Dolphins and the Molloy University Lions. Once again, Joe Foreman on the call today alongside Nick Bavona, and we do have starting lineups for both teams being introduced here at the field. So, Nick, I know you have those starting lineups, and you'll bring those to our viewers watching at home.
Let me just get the roster and make sure I got everything right, Joe. All right, so leading it off for the Lions, in left field is going to be number 1, Sean Serrano. Batting second at third base, number 15, Sean Welsh. Batting third and at second base, number 25, Aiden Larkin. Batting fourth in the cleanup spot, the designated hitter, number 23, James Sill. Batting fifth and at short, number 7, Patrick Sanchez. Batting sixth and at first base, number 35, that is Nicholas Dagnello. Batting seventh and in right field is number 8, Jack Coogan. Batting eighth and in center field is number 10, Joe Barisi. And batting ninth and behind the plate is number 3, Stephen Kalika. And on the mound today for the Lions is number 16, J.C. Kiss.
The head coach of the Dolphins is Mike Morrow, and the assistants are James Mardika, Matthew Bowers, Thomas Leno, Shenyu Lodge, John Esposito, and Sabrina Nardone.
All right, we're set for first pitch. Booming introductions over PA, Nick. I was listening in and waiting for them to finish because I could not gather my thoughts over the sound of our great public address announcer, Joe Calabrese's voice. First pitch of the game from Ryan Kehoe, lined into shallow right center field, and it's a base hit for Sean Serrano to get things started.
Well, another barrier right there for the Lions, Joe. First pitch swinging, first pitch base hit for Serrano, and he leads off this game as Molloy tries to get the first run of this game as well. Already 2 outs in the inning, but the Lions do have a chance to bring home the first run of the game. And now they bring up the designated hitter, Sell.
Kehoe comes set and delivers. And the first pitch to Sill is high for ball one.
The first pitch taken of this game as well.
Lions offered at each of the first three, as you mentioned, Nick. Put all three in play. Here comes the 1-0. And that's hit a mile high on the infield. Foul territory. Brito has it. And that will do it for the top half of the first inning. Nice job there by Brito to track that ball. And the Lions are turned aside in the road first inning. No runs on one hit for Molloy. The Dolphins come to bat for the first time when we come back.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet, where the Dolphins have taken a 3-0 lead over Molloy University in the bottom half of the first inning. It's been a 4-hit inning for CSI, Nick, and the very last of those hits occurred right before our internet feed cut out. We are going to use my own personal hotspot the rest of the way, and we'll try and sort out the Wi-Fi and the wired internet here in the press box ahead of Sunday. But, Nick, if I recall, last year we just came right up here, plugged in, we're good to go. And
I thought the same thing, yeah.
No such luck here today. The internet has not allowed us access wired. We tried to go wireless, and it did not work in the midst of a Dolphins rally. So to recap the inning very quickly, the Dolphins opened the inning with back-to-back singles. In the middle of that, there was a wild pitch that allowed for the runner on first, Jack Kehoe, to move up to second. That put runners on first and third for A.J. Vigliotti, who tripled home a pair. Then the very next batter, T.J. Leno, doubled home Vigliotti. He's now on third. Jaden Waterman stands over at first. There are now, I thought there were 2 outs, Nick.
Just one.
The live stats still haven't updated. 1 out in the inning.
The count
And
currently 0-2.
I do believe that our live stats are offline as well, so the internet is just wreaking havoc at the moment.
There's one thing that frustrates us a lot, Joe, is very spotty internet.
There's nothing that frustrates me more than faulty technology as Vincent Weigel takes down and away. Count 1-2. If there's one thing that I will allow to get me angry, it is when the technology fails. It is the only thing that can throw me off on a broadcast. Nothing in the game can bother me as that's fouled away.
It's the second time in this at-bat that Weigel has swung while the runner was in motion. So the Dolphins trying for a hit and run in this spot twice. But Weigel stays in the count here at 1-2.
So if our internet does go down again, we are going to switch over to my wireless hotspot. In fact, Nick, we might do that during the break.
Okay.
As Weigel takes out of the zone once again, 2-2. So we may go offline briefly following the conclusion of this half inning. We'll be right back as we make the switch over to my wireless hotspot. Two and two the count on the Dolphins' third baseman, and that's it out to right, slicing toward the corner. It's caught, and that will allow Leno to score from third. It's a 4-run inning for the Dolphins, and they're off to a nice start once again. They lead at 4-0.
That's a nice lengthy at-bat by Weigel there, Joe. Fouled off a couple pitches, was able to get that one into right field.
All right, we made the switch over to my hotspot after our internet feed cut out once again. We should be good the rest of the way, and we apologize for that. Unfortunately, whatever settings were configured last year to give us access to the campus internet have been undone during the offseason. 0-1 the count on Jandel Brito. He takes outside. Dolphins now with 2 on and 2 outs here in the home half of the first inning. They lead it 4-0. They have to feel good about that with Ryan Kehoe on the mound. J.C. Kiss has labored through this home half of inning number 1 as I think Brito just got a piece of that ball.
And I think something else that you have to like if you're the pitcher, the Dolphins have brought the first 9 batters of this game for their lineup into this first inning. And if Brito can get on, they will bat around in this first.
Brito behind 1-2, hits it in the air, foul territory, and out of play. We didn't get a chance to talk much about the history between these two teams during the pregame, but Molloy has been dominant in the all-time series. The Dolphins have beaten the Lions just once. However, that game did come in a Ryan Kehoe start. He went the distance in a complete game shutout, and the Dolphins won that game, I believe, 11-0.
11-0, yep.
That might have been our first conference broadcast of that season as well, as Brito takes outside.
For the 2023 year, I believe so. Someone is knocking on the door.
All right. They'll wait one more pitch, and I got it. Pat's got it.
Pat operating our pitch clock today, something very brand new to our games this season.
And that's hit sharply off the glove of Kiss and into the glove of his waiting shortstop. Nicely done there at short by Sanchez off the ricochet, and they go the short way to second for the final out. But not before the Dolphins score 4 times in the home first inning. They lead the Lions 4-0 after 1. Second inning about to get underway from the CSI Baseball Complex, where the Dolphins have an early 4-0 lead. And Nick, coming off a game where they scored 21 runs, they have to feel pretty good about how that first inning went.
You know, sometimes when you see it in baseball, Joe, when a team scores that many runs, you wonder if that rust is going to wear off on you going into your next game. But it certainly was not the case for the Dolphins in that previous half inning. They got 4 runs off of 5 hits, a couple of bloop singles to start off the inning. Vigliotti, the big blow with the 2-run triple. And an early 4-run lead for Ryan Kehoe in this game.
And we mentioned how good Kehoe was when the Dolphins faced Molloy in their lone victory against the Lions. That came back during the 2023 season. But Kehoe's been pretty good this year as well, one of the top arms in the ECC right now. As of the conclusion of play last week, I believe he was 3rd in ERA. But those numbers obviously shuffle around a bit with games having been played already this week. And he's behind here, 2-0. At the plate for Molloy is Patrick Sanchez. He made that nice play at short to end the last half inning.
And that was a tough break as that one missed on the inside for ball 3. It was a tough break for Burrito because if it didn't hit off the glove of Kiss, that was going to go off the middle for a base hit. But because it hit off of Kiss's glove, it allowed the shortstop Sanchez to make the play and record that final out.
3-0 coming, and that's in for a strike. Kehoe comes set ahead of the 3-1. And that's outside for ball 4. So just as they did in the first inning, Molloy has the leadoff batter on. And that will bring up Nicholas Dagnello.
So early chance here for Dagnello in this inning with the runner on and nobody out. We saw how Kehoe was able to get around that last inning of work after giving up the leadoff single.
That pitch is taken low for ball 1. So Kehoe now has missed with 5 of the last 6. He came in having walked 10 batters in 23 2/3 this year. 26 strikeouts in 23 2/3. And an opponent's batting average of .227 against Kehoe, who comes in with a 2.66 ERA. That's in for a strike.
Nice breaking ball right there from Kehoe, fooling Dagnello for the first strike to even the count at 1.
These dugouts both very animated in this game. Both teams playing their conference opener. They're right back at it on Saturday as that's lined toward left center field, and that will find the gap for an extra base hit. That ball comes to rest just shy of the warning track, but heading home is Sanchez with the first Molloy run. And the Lions are on the board. It's now 4-1.
Well, another great piece of hitting right there, Joe, this time from Dagnello. He also goes the opposite way on this at-bat. Worked the count to 1-1 and found that gap in left center field for their RBI double, and now makes this a 3-run game.
Well, we knew the Lions would not go down quietly, and trailing by 4 very early in the game, they've immediately gotten into the run column for the first time. It's now 4-1. At the plate now, Jack Coogan. The first pitch from Kehoe is sliced slowly on the ground to second. Leno gets there, and he throws out Coogan for out number 1. Moving up to third is Dagnello.
Not an easy play right there for Leno because that one was kind of on the insides for Coogan, and he hit that one softly towards second base, and you saw Leno having to make a quick way to go towards that ball and have him make a quick throw to first base. But lost in the thing, as you mentioned, Coogan does move the runner now into third base.
Kehoe looks that way ahead of this first pitch. And taking down and away is Joe Barresi.
Last look at that RBI double right there off the bat of Dagnello, making this now a 3-run game.
The 1-0. Breaking ball strike, 1-1. Molloy has scored a lot of runs in recent memory against the Dolphins. Last year in the 4 games, they scored 9 or more in all 4 games. And they won each of those games by 9 or more. Count now 1-2, and if Kehoe could get Barresi here on strikes, that would be huge for the Dolphins starter.
Expect them maybe to go on the outside right here, try and make him chase.
1-2, and that's exactly what he did, Nick, but it's blooped into right field for a base hit. Barresi chased the breaking ball down and away. You called it, Nick, and he was able to get just enough of it to dump it in front of Kehoe in right field.
It looked like he was maybe going for a slider on the outside, but it kind of stayed up just a little bit too much. And it was a nice piece of opposite way hitting once again for Molloy in this game. They've now cut the deficit to 2, now 4-2.
Dagnello comes in to score the second run on the RBI single by Coogan. The Dolphins' lead has quickly been cut in half. It's 4-2. There goes the runner. And that throw gets away. Not a good one. So Barresi on the RBI hit. Then advances on the stolen base. Takes one more on the errant throw. And just like that, the Lions have a runner at third once again. Still just 1 out. And a big opportunity here for Stephen Kalika.
Going into the at-bat, I was going to say that the good thing for Kehoe is a double play ball would have gotten him out of the inning, but first pitch, the runner does go into motion. There's a nice swing and a miss for a strike, count even at 1. And now with that throw into center field, now allows the runner to go to third. So the Dolphins will try to get a ground ball of play here. Obviously, for Kehoe, would love to get a strikeout to keep the runner at third.
The 1-1. In for a strike. 1-2 now, the count on Kalika. And for Kehoe here, a huge pitch coming up. And with the 2-strike count, the infield will come in. Kehoe comes set. The 1-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. He got Kalika to chase the high fastball, and Kehoe picks up the strikeout he needed. 2 gone in the inning.
Well, we saw what happened, Joe, in that last 1-2 count. He went with the off-speed on the outside, and it was blooped into right field. This time he goes with this fastball right up tight towards his chest, and a nice pitch right there to get Kalika swinging. And now he's 1 out away from getting out of the jam, keeping this a 2-run lead.
At the plate here, Sean Serrano. Serrano, a left-handed batter, and he looks at a strike.
Serrano started this game off on the first pitch with a single, but was held at third base and was not able to come around and score.
And the 0-1 is fouled back. 0-2 now, and Kehoe is 1 strike away from limiting the damage to 2 here in the second.
Might try to go breaking ball once again, maybe on the outside again, with a couple pitches to work with.
I think you try and get him fishing at least once, but you have to trust your catcher to block it. And I think that was a fastball, Nick.
Yeah, it was. It was a fastball a little bit on the outside corner. But Serrano did a good job of at least fouling that one off and keeping the at-bat alive.
It's very easy to say, well, you have to waste a pitch, but when it comes down to it, the blocks behind the plate for any team, generally, not a sure thing. Another 0-2, high fastball upstairs. 1-2.
And we've spoken about it, Joe, the last game where the Dolphins have had a lot of errors this season that's really plagued them throughout the majority of the first half of the season, and they really can't afford that now that conference play has started.
1-2, and there's that breaking ball in the dirt. Good job there by Serrano to lay off. The count's even at 2-2, and you're right, Nick. Dolphins, against a team like the Lions especially, cannot afford to make the mistakes that we've seen from them in the field. Comes the 2-2, and that misses badly for ball 3. So Serrano has worked his way back from behind 0-2 to full 3-2. And now Kehoe is faced with the possibility of having to go up against another batter. The on-deck hitter is Sean Welsh. 3-2. Swung on and missed. Breaking ball down in the dirt, and the throw to first is high. They had to complete the putout on the 3rd strike in the dirt. Brito sailed the throw off of Vigliotti's glove, and the Lions bring home a 3rd run.
I mean, we just spoke about it, Joe. The Dolphins needing to avoid situations like that. And unfortunately, a high throw from Brito allows the runner to score. Not only that, but Serrano now goes into second base. And the Dolphins, who thought they were just going to get out of this inning with still a 2-run lead, now the lead is down to 1, 4-3. And a chance for Sean Welsh, who's the go-ahead runner at the plate. But not only that, a base hit right here could tie this game at 4.
And there's a swing and a miss by Welsh. Count 0-1, and Nick, the way that things have gone for the Dolphins and a discussion we were just talking about with the miscues, that is one that really, really hurts. Kehoe had gotten out of the inning, limiting the damage, got the 2 strikeouts he needed, and an unfortunate throwing error there with this one popped up a mile high. Who's going to get it? And it's Kehoe. Boy, oh boy, Nick.
They had to sweat for that last one.
Kehoe makes the catch on the pop-up, and the Dolphins maintain the lead. However, Molloy scores 3 times in the second. They are back to within a run. Our score, Staten Island 4 and Molloy 3.
Balance. It isn't just essential in your sport. It's essential in life, especially college life. It's everything you need to thrive in school, in sport, and everything in between. The key is just finding a place where you can pursue it all. Because the real beauty lies in the balance. If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Home second inning about to get started from the CSI baseball complex. And Nick, I don't know about you, but I felt like that was a pretty long break as that's dribbled to the right of Kiss, throw across his body in time. And Jack Kehoe is retired on one pitch for the first out.
Well, after a long break, if you want to call it that, one pitch, one out to start off this second inning. But how about this game already, Joe? 7 runs already combined between these two teams, and it's only the bottom of the second inning.
Might have a good one coming. And Nick, do you realize what just happened?
He didn't turn the mic on, did he?
He did not turn the mic on.
I thought I wanted to make sure. That time I heard it.
Yeah, I'll go let them know.
Look, I will say in their defense, it is very tough to see if it is unmuted or muted when you're looking at that microphone. Speaking from previous experience doing PA here at the baseball complex, as Palomini is quickly in a 2-strike count here. 1 away in the inning. Kehoe retired on the first pitch of the inning, and J.C. Kiss now has a chance for a quick punch out right here. But it misses in the dirt for ball 1.
The danger, Nick, of announcing a batter when the light doesn't go on is that you may think, oh, I turned it off, but now the light is on when you went to go turn the system off. And then they hear everything you're saying in the press
Right.
box.
You have to be very careful what you're saying.
Always.
Got to keep it family friendly.
Count 2-2 on Palomini. It would be rather hilarious if we plugged our mixer into the wall right there. If we plug into that wall, Nick, the entire campus can hear us.
Huh. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's hit down the right field line, just foul.
Would they hear us during break, though?
Not if we're muted.
If we're muted, okay. All right, so it's not that bad then.
Yeah.
Not saying that we do anything bad during break.
Never. Never. I'm always on my best behavior during commercial break.
They have to be.
Did you hear what I said to Joe when we were on the broadcast at softball?
Depends which one.
That's grounded to the left side. Sanchez on the backhand. Long throw right on target and in time to get the speedy Palomini.
That is not an easy out with the way Palomini runs down the first base line. Nice backhand by Sanchez and a good strong throw to first base for the second out of the inning.
The first baseman, number 22, A.J. Gigliotti.
With how loud the public address is, Nick, I don't know how anyone could mistake the system for working when it isn't, as that's bounced to third by Vigliotti, and he is retired. So J.C. Kiss rebounds with a very quick 1-2-3 second inning. The Dolphins go down in order. We head to the third after this.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast. Everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You can vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
Aiden Larkin will be the batter to lead off for Molloy here in the road third inning. Molloy trailing 4-3 after the Dolphins scored 4 in the first and the Lions answered with 3 in the second. First pitch of the inning from Ryan Kehoe misses low, ball 1, as Larkin was showing bunt there.
He showed bunt last time and moved the runner into scoring position his last time around. Or correction, that was the second batter of the inning. So apologies for that.
And Kehoe quickly falls behind 2-0.
That was Welsh. That was the one that had the sacrifice in the first.
That's hit in the air, foul. And the count goes to 2-1.
Yeah, I think if you're Molloy, Joe, you got to be happy with how that last half inning went because you got 3 runs in that second and then a very quick bomb half of the second inning for Kiss. And now that lineup gets the bat here to start off this third, still, riding a nice wave of momentum after what happened in that second.
That's a good point, Nick. Whenever you have an inning where you made the opposing pitcher work and put some good swings on the ball, you like to get right back to work if you can. And the Dolphins went down very quickly in their turn at bat, the second. That last pitch, Kehoe gets even in the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the 2-2 is in the dirt for ball 3. So, Nick, last inning things got started from Molloy with a walk, and if you're Kehoe here, you'd hate to walk the leadoff batter again.
Yeah, especially in this spot of the order, the third batter in the lineup, and you have the cleanup hitter on deck who would be the go-ahead run.
Comes the payoff pitch. That's grounded to short. Flashner. Throw in time, and there's one away.
Nice lengthy at bat by Larkin, but it was able to ground out. So a good start to the inning for Kehoe. Retires the first batter of the inning for the first time in this game. And now will face James Sill, the designated hitter.
That will bring up James Sill. Sill 0 for 1 at the plate in this game. Comes to bat here with the bases empty and 1 out in the road third inning. And he takes inside, ball 1. Well, if you're Molloy, you have to be pleased to see that the bottom half of the order is what got you started. Hitters 6 through 9, 2 for 4, and now Sill is 1 for 2 as he lines a single into right center field.
So Sill on with a 1-out base hit. And now he'll bring the go-ahead runner to the plate. A great opportunity for Patrick Sanchez.
Patrick Sanchez, the batter, walked his first time up. And as I mentioned, the 4 hitters behind him combined to go 2 for 4 in the first turn through the batting order. Sean Serrano then delivered a hit out of the leadoff spot.
A little bit of a fake out right there from Kehoe.
We haven't mentioned it yet because thankfully, and I think thankfully is the right way to frame it, it hasn't been a factor yet, but there is a pitch clock in use today.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I think we did mention it, but I don't know if we were off the air when it happened.
True. That breaking ball misses down and away. Well, the good news is that my wireless hotspot has us online. The bad news is that we've used 1.5 out of 15 gigs in just over an inning.
We are racing against time right now.
So we are definitely going to have to get the internet situation sorted out before Sunday. As that pitch misses low. What I'll probably do, Nick, is send an email between innings. Maybe they can get back to me before the game is over. And we can get things set up before we leave today. Because the last thing I want is to come in on Sunday with uncertainty.
Right.
I do not believe we had to do anything to get connected last year.
I don't think we did either. I don't
the
remember.
Year before, because the ports to our left are new.
Right.
That's fouled off.
As long as you don't hear groans from the crowd, everything's fine.
Count now 2-2 on Sanchez. Still the runner over at first with 1 out. That's hit in the air. Shallow center. Palomini makes the call and the catch. 2 gone.
Always got to be careful out in center field. We saw what happened in the first inning. That allowed CSI to get 2 runs. Is Palomini able to make the play? And now 2 gone in the inning.
Well, we've said it many times before. The field here at CSI makes for some very tough bounces. And the ball at times behaves very abnormally when it's hit on the ground, and especially when it's rolling on the outfield grass. You see that ball come to a rest very quickly, and every once in a while it takes a funky hop like the one that we saw in the first inning.
Right. And I mentioned it to you as that one was in the dirt for ball 2. I believe that was the case that happened a few years back when these two teams played, and it was the game where Molloy was technically the home team in that game. And they had a walk-off inside the park home run because of a play similar to that we saw in the first inning where the ball bounced and took a weird hop at center field.
There goes the runner. Brito's throw off target to the shortstop side of second base. Flashner didn't have a chance to make the tag. It's a stolen base for James Sill. And Molloy now has a runner in scoring position with 2 away.
And we saw what Dagnella did his last time up to the plate, Joe. Hit an RBI double the opposite way. Another base knock right here will bring home that runner from second and tie this game at 4.
And you could make the case that swing by Dagnella was the best of the game for Molloy. as he takes outside for ball 2. Count now 2-1 on the Lions' first baseman.
And he still has that big gap in left center field, the same way he hit it the last time.
The wind is blowing that way as well. So, Nick, that beeping we hear is the pitch clock as it expires. We had no idea what that was the first time.
Okay. All right, so now we know.
We figured it out. Detective Foreman.
The pitcher's now racing against time with this pitch clock.
Keogh paying close attention to Sill at second as he strikes out Dagnello to retire the side. Molloy strands the tying run in scoring position here in the third. The Dolphins come to bat, leading 4-3 after this break.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends, live sports and watch parties, to Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
TJ Leno will lead things off for the Dolphins in the home half of the third inning. CSI leads Molloy 4-3. And Leno takes inside for ball 1.
Leno had an RBI hit his last time up to the plate. Dolphins will have 4, 5, and 6 up in this inning.
Leno 1 for 1. Each of the first 5 Dolphins in the CSI batting order have reached base in this game. That all came back in the first inning. Count 1-1 on Leno.
Something also to monitor, Joe. The Lions do have action up in their bullpen.
And once again, the binoculars are planted on the passenger seat of my car. However, I can tell you it is Thomas Charlwood in the bullpen.
Okay. It is visible to see the numbers this time around.
Molloy has very simple uniforms, no trim on the number, white number, maroon jersey, nicely legible, which is not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Mavericks have a gray on gray, and I know in basketball, Queens has a gray on gray.
So when you go on Mercy's website and Mercy the Mav asks you if what can he help you with? Can you just ask them for different jerseys?
I need the help. I need some help seeing who's who.
I need some help seeing what number's up to the plate.
Leno strikes out, and Jaden Waterman is the batter here. And Waterman looks at a strike. Well, during basketball, as you know, I was broadcasting our senior day season finale remotely, and I was told by Nick, and I could see it on my monitor, that the numbers were completely illegible. You could not tell who was who. You definitely couldn't tell on my TV screen. And Nick said he was having trouble in person. As Waterman bloops one over third base and into left field for a hit. takes a big turn, but will stop at first, and the Dolphins have a one-out base runner.
Another bloop single in this game for the Dolphins, Joe, and that one Waterman getting it over the third baseman's head, who was kind of playing back towards the bag, and he still was not able to make the play. As the Dolphins' sixth hit of this game.
Michael Flashner will be the batter now. Flashner 0 for 1. Left-handed hitter, and he looks at a strike. Well, speaking of remote broadcasts, Nick, I did buy a headset down in Florida to improve my voice quality. However, it was not working with my new iPhone. It would come disconnected whenever I'd move. I now have a headset as good as, if not better, than our broadcasting headsets that connects to my phone. And we have a full studio set up in the corner of my apartment. So if I ever need to do a game remotely, it can be done. And done quite easily now.
You give the term to studio apartment, as they like to say.
Exactly. I've never had to live in a studio apartment. Everything's had at least a bedroom. Some great studio apartments here on campus, however, in Dolphin Cove.
Next thing, you're going to get a green screen to try to film some commercials and stuff.
You never know. The count 1-2 on Flashner. And that's hit toward the left side. Throw to second for 1, on to first, not in time. Flashner runs too well for the Lions to turn 2, but they do get Waterman at second as the lead runner. 2 away in the inning.
Flashner going the opposite way on that one as well. It was kind of a little bit of a slow ground ball hit towards third base. And that allowed Flashner to get the first to extend this inning. And we'll see what Hunter can do now with 2 away.
Vincent Weigel is the batter.
I was a batter ahead, Joe. I was a batter ahead.
It's okay.
I saw the 9 on the back, and that's why I immediately
jumped the gun.
Yeah.
You weren't the only one who was a batter ahead, Nick. That was earlier in the game, but we got a batter ahead. As that's hit sharply on the ground to the right side, handled over at second base by Larkin, and he throws out Weigel to retire the side. Dolphins strand 1 in the home third inning, and through 3, they lead Molloy 4-3.
In a very historical school, and we really have to recognize as students on this campus the amount of sacrifice that has been bared for us to be able to receive education.
CUNY has really inspired me to think creatively and think differently about how it is we listen to one another. And so long term, my goal is to continue that pattern.
But I think I'd encourage students to attend CUNY because the faculty here is truly amazing.
Fourth inning getting started from the CSI Baseball Complex. As the first pitch is a breaking ball from Ryan Kehoe, in for a called strike. Jack Coogan at the plate. He's 0 for 1. And Coogan takes inside.
I will say, Joe, I am missing the warmth of the press box at SIUH Community Park right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Very nice amenities there for us. Wired internet that works.
Yeah.
Have to remind me between innings, Nick. I'll email IT as that's fouled back. So I think I might have mistakenly said that Coogan scored a run earlier in the game. That was, in fact, Agnello who scored. Count 1-2 now on the Lions right fielder, and he bounces one to third. Weigel charging. Throws on the move just in time, and there's one away in the inning.
Not an easy play for Weigel at third base. That one kind of took a little bit of an awkward bounce towards him. Made a nice scoop and made a good strong throw to first base. And, of course, Joe, he lost his hat on the way to making that throw as well.
We've seen that from time to time. Weigel now sporting long hair, and we know what effect that has on hats.
Especially with a windy day like this, that's definitely going to happen a couple times.
Trying to remember if at this time last year I had the long hair. I don't believe so.
I don't think you did.
I started the season with very long hair.
I was going to say, I thought it was later into the season, though.
Well, early in the season I had longer hair, and then I cut it in time for the Finnies. And then I grew it out again before the start of this season. As that's hit sharply. Nice play at short by Flashner on the short hop. And he throws across the diamond in time to get Barisi. 2 gone.
Joe, do you want me to say it?
What?
You flashed the glove right there.
Ah, Durstism.
I asked you. You could have said no.
You asked the wrong man.
Well,
you
that's
needed
true.
Permission from Nick.
That's true.
Speaking of Nick, this is, of course, the CSI Game of the Week.
Of course.
As well, we welcome in that audience.
Saw Nick Durst before our broadcast today as well.
Dropped off some new merch for me, including the hat I'm wearing right now, the You Know I'm Right hat.
We just played the commercial a few minutes ago as well.
0-1 the count on Stephen Kalika. Kalika at the plate is 0 for 1, and he looks at a called strike 2.
Keogh now 1 strike away, Joe, from a quick 1-2-3 fourth inning right here. And giving the Dolphins a chance to get some more insurance runs for him.
0-2. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Another strikeout for Ryan Kehoe. And for the Dolphins starter, that strikeout is his 4th. Lions go down 1-2-3 in the 4th inning. They still trail by a run. CSI leads 4-3.
Imagine earning a world-class education on a beautiful and accessible campus in the world's most exciting city. Not only does CSI offer a magnificent campus atmosphere, the College of Staten Island excels in dynamic student life, outstanding academics, new high-end apartment-style living, and a dedicated, award-winning faculty.
J.J. Hunter will lead off for the Dolphins here in the home 4th inning. CSI over Molloy 4-3 as Hunter takes a strike.
For J.C. Kiss, Joe, he's kind of settled down into this game after a rough first inning. He's had back-to-back scoreless innings, so we'll look for a 3rd straight right here.
The Dolphins in this game have 6 hits. They scored all 4 of their runs back in the first inning. Count on Hunter now 1-1. And the pitch from Kiss is in for a called strike 2.
Dolphins having 8, 9, and 1 up in the inning. It'll be Hunter, followed by Burrito, and then back to the top of the lineup with Keogh.
1-2 is just outside.
Not a bad pitch to throw on the outside right there from Kiss. Trying to frame it behind the plate as well, but just missed on the outside.
Comes the 2-2. And that's pulled toward the left field line, tailing away, and that falls for a hit. That ball takes another awkward hop, but Serrano is able to knock it down, and Hunter is on with a leadoff single.
And you kind of saw what he did there in that bat, Joe. He kind of lunged towards that pitch, and because he did that, he was able to hit it into left field for another bloop single. The first of not many for the Dolphins in this game. I think that's their 4th bloop single of this game now. And they're on with a leadoff single to start off this 4th inning.
Jandel Brito will be the batter, and he will continue to wait for the first pitch as they check on the runner at first.
Second look, and you see right there for Hunter. A little bit of a breaking ball on the outside. He was able just to get a piece of it to hit it into left field for the single.
Pitch to Brito is popped up. Shallow right, and ranging back from his position over at second base to make the catch was Larkin, 1 away.
So 1 gone. That now brings up the lefty-lefty matchup as Jack Keogh will come up to the plate.
That will bring up Jack Kehoe. Kehoe 1 for 2, as are the 3 hitters behind him. Each of the first 4 Dolphins in the lineup 1 for 2. Jaden Waterman, the lone Dolphin, with 2 hits as Kehoe pops that one up. Could be trouble along the left field line, and falling to the turf to make the catch in foul ground is the left fielder Serrano.
Serrano not only lost his balance, lost his hat, but he did not lose the ball there, Joe. A nice catch out in left field for the second out of the inning.
And the playing surface here, metaphorical turf only, Nick, but that will change next year. During the offseason, they are scheduled to begin a project that will see the baseball complex transformed into an all-turf field. Now, I was a part of coloring some of the renderings when it comes to the logo and fair and foul ground and the area around the turf at soccer. I do not know what the final design they went with was. I haven't seen it. I could probably ask that question and get an answer. I'm very curious to know what they went with. As Chris Palomini hits one well deep to left center field, and that ball is going to land over the wall, home run. The signal comes from the infield umpire as that ball just kept carrying.
Well, you know, Joe, I didn't want you to have the same mistake I did at the Ferry Hawks. I was not certain off the bat because it's kind of foggy today. It's a little bit of a fog.
Nick, I completely lost the ball.
I lost it too. So I thought maybe hit off the wall, and I looked towards the second base umpire, as you did as well, and he signaled for the home run, and Palomini gets himself the homer and gives the Dolphins now a 3-run lead.
A 2-run shot off the bat of Chris Palomini has made it a 3-run Dolphins lead. It's now 6-3 Staten Island. How about this, Nick? The Dolphin bats picking up right where they left off on Tuesday against the Delphi.
Well, I mentioned it earlier in this game, Joe. A bloop and a blast. You got it right there. If you're CSI, you got the bloop single to start the inning, and now the home run from Palomini gives CSI a much-needed 3-run lead as Molloy was starting to cut into this game.
A.J. Vigliotti, the batter now, quickly ahead here, 2-0, and he takes a strike on the outside corner.
That's got to be demoralizing for Kiss. He was really cruising these last couple of innings. But that home run now gives CSI back a 3-run lead. As he looks for a strikeout right here to retire the side.
For Palomini, that's his team-leading 3rd home run of the season. Count on Vigliotti now even at 2. And A.J. takes low for ball 3. Well, Nick, we've spoken about it many times. We haven't seen many home runs hit to center field. That's as close as I've seen.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that ball got out. As that's chopped toward the middle. What a play on the backhand. Larkin at second, flashing the leather, stabs at that one, keeps it on the infield, and throws out Vigliotti to retire the side. But not before Chris Palomini makes it a 3-run game with a 2-run shot over the left center field wall. The Dolphins now lead 6-3.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
First pitch of the 5th inning is sliced foul by Sean Serrano. His team now trails 6-3. And Nick, we were talking about it during the break, and I went and asked the room next door for their thoughts. That ball off the bat of Palomini was a screaming line drive over the left center field wall. I could not believe it got out.
Well, you knew it was going to be an extra base hit right off the bat. You knew it right off the bat was going to be an extra base hit. But like you mentioned, that ball just kept going and going and going into left center field. And that's why you were saying, and going, and going, and going, and then you wait for the umpire.
As Chris Berman used to say, it's back. I
miss those days of the home run derby. It's not the same.
That pitch is in for a strike, and the count on Serrano is 1-2.
How about this for Keogh once again, Joe? Another 3-run lead for him. A huge home run for Palomini now gives him a little bit more insurance.
Comes the 1-2, and that's up high, 2-2.
It's especially big as well with the top of the order leading off this inning as well.
Well, Nick, we'll talk about it more in between batters, but you and I will get to call a home run derby this summer.
That's true.
One of our favorite events of the year. Comes the 2-2, and that's fouled away. But you and I will be calling the New York State Little League Baseball Championship. 5 days of pool play, the semifinal and the final. So a week's worth of coverage. Or I should say 4 days of pool play, but 5 days long with the home run derby and skills competition in the middle.
Right.
So that's going to be a good time. Here comes the 2-2, and that's in the dirt for ball 3. It's actually funny. I was calling the Little League Championship a couple of years back, and our athletic communications content creator, Marquise Pickering, was directly behind the fence on the other side.
Oh, really?
Shooting an event at the Richmond County Swim Club.
Oh, okay.
As that breaking ball misses just outside, and Serrano pumped up after that walk.
I mean, you spoke about it earlier that there's a lot of emotion into this game. You know, you're playing your first conference game of the season. It really will, early on set the tone of what is the season going to be for these two teams. Molloy came into this game 9-7. The Dolphins have had a rough start to the year, but even getting this first conference win can certainly help you as you're trying to move on to the playoffs this season.
Nick, I'm about to hit you with a Durstism after this next pitch, or perhaps right now. One might say the Lions' leadoff hitter was roaring at his dugout.
Oh, my God. That's worse than mine. You didn't even ask me either.
And there goes Serrano. Brito's throw on one hop in time, and they got him! A very close play at second. Nick, fire up that replay.
Yeah, the good thing that we have the pitcher-batter camera as well. We'll get a great look of it at second base.
The throw beat him. Did the tag? That's the question.
Let's say.
Might have to slow it down.
I'll slow it down after this.
Oh, umpire. He got in the way.
He did. The throw was there.
The throw was definitely there.
The tag was there as well.
I said, umpire, because he obstructed my view of the play.
View.
What do you think?
He's out.
Good call.
There's like a couple seconds replay you could tell. I'll show it in a second.
And Weigel now makes a diving stop right to his feet, but the throw is just a bit wide. Great effort there by Weigel, but Sean Welsh will reach on an infield single.
So let's look at it in slow motion here. I might have to pause it, but
that umpire doing his job obstructed my view, Nick. In real time, that was about as close as it gets. That was a bang-bang call.
I'll tell you what, I can even pause it once he makes the tag, too.
It was very close. The throw definitely beat him, and when the throw beats you, most of the time you will be called out. Aiden Larkin at the plate now. Takes one in the dirt for ball one. Larkin is 0 for 2 at the plate.
I'll have it ready for us after this next pitch.
Sounds good. Let's see it.
All right, let's see. There's a tag right there.
You have a better view of it than me. He's out?
Yeah.
Expert engineering.
And of course, not biased.
Non-biased. we always joke about it every game, but Nick and I try to do our very best to stay as unbiased as possible.
Yeah, the throw was certainly there. It was caught in time, and he just
Runner
made
going
the tag.
again. They challenged Brito a second time, and that was not a bad throw, but a good jump from Welsh afforded him the stolen base.
Yeah, you mentioned it. That was once again close. Brito almost got another base runner right there, but it looks like he just missed it, or maybe the tag was just a second late.
You could make the case that throw was better than the last one.
Certainly was.
Sometimes if the hop is long enough, it's not always bad for the throw to arrive on a hop, as that's fouled off, and the count is now 2-2 on Welsh.
And our viewers at home can even see it. You see right there, probably did a second too early, but the catch was, once he made the catch, the runner was already into second base. It would have had to be a very quick tag out at second base by Leno to get that out.
That's a very underrated aspect of being a middle infielder defensively, especially at this level where at times we see a lot of stolen base attempts. Being able to very quickly play a hop on a throw or make that snap tag, whatever it takes to cut down as many stolen base attempts as possible. Very easy to forget that aspect of playing defense as a middle infielder. And the 2-2 is chopped foul. Also, as a pitcher, being able to put the brakes on the running game a bit matters very much as well. Obviously, the catcher is important in that, but the pitcher really needing to control the pace and now work against the pitch clock as well.
Yeah.
A lot of factors come into play when it comes to contending with the running game, as that's lined into right field for a base hit. They will hold Welsh at third. Larkin stops at first, and Vigliotti very nearly had that ball get by him. He saved an error.
Yeah, I kept that runner at first base. If that one goes away, that runner certainly going into second and giving two runners in scoring position. But now, Joe, the tying run does come to the plate for Molloy.
And, Nick, if that gets away, I think a run might come in to score there.
Yeah, I think Keogh would have had been the one to have made the scoop at least to keep the runner from third from scoring.
Kehoe was standing not too far from home plate. He was behind Vigliotti, but not in the direction that throw was tailing. So it would have been a tough play. At the plate now is James Sill, and he fouls that one off, 0-1.
Well, if you're KO, Joe, this is the spot where you would love a double play ball, get yourself out of the inning, but do expect maybe the runner at first base to try to steal second and prevent that from happening.
Fog really beginning to roll in here at the baseball complex as well. Long look in ahead of the 0-1. That's chopped foul. So we saw it earlier in the game, Nick. Kehoe needed some big strikeouts. He got them. Needs one right here. That's almost as good as a double play.
Yeah. And I think, with an 0-2 count as well, we mentioned it earlier, you can maybe try to get it something on the outside, but you do run the risk if you throw something into the dirt and it gets behind your catcher, then it allows the runner from third to score.
Kehoe paying close attention to the runner over at first as well. Runner going. Brito does throw. Leno comes up to meet it. The throw comes home, and now they have Welsh in a rundown. He's out of the baseline. He is out. And the Dolphins execute well there as the Lions give away an out on the base paths.
Yeah, unfortunately that's kind of inexcusable if you're Molloy. You can't allow that runner to get caught at third base because you would have had a chance maybe to have second and third with still one out. Now instead you have the runner on second and now 2 outs. A huge out right there recorded by the Dolphins. And Kehoe is now a strike away from getting out of the inning.
I think if you're the Lions there, that's too aggressive. You have your cleanup hitter at the plate, runners on the corners, just 1 out. I think the logic there, Nick, is that they had an 0-2 count on the batter and thought, all right, let's try it on an 0-2 pitch. Right. I think that was the logic. So I get that, but to take the bat out of Sill's hands in that situation with 2 on, I'm not sure that's something you want to do if you're Molloy.
And you said it too, a great execution by the Dolphins. You saw Leno move in to cut off that throw to second base. And he was waiting to see if the runner from third would go home, and that was indeed the case. And they got the rundown, and they got the runner to go out of the baseline to get the out.
I think part of that as well is on the base runner at third, as Sill fouls away another, and look out in that second row, Nick.
Well, I'm not that far. I think I'm in that region that he hit it. I think I'm okay.
But part of that, as I was saying, was on the runner as well, not to get too far off of third without deciding I'm going home. And Welsh got about a third of the way and got caught in no man's land. Once you're hung up there, there's nothing you can do unless the Dolphins botch the rundown. And Sill goes down swinging. Kehoe strikes him out on the breaking ball. And the Dolphins starter escapes unscathed in the 5th. Dolphins come to bat, leading by 3 when we come back. Bottom half of the 5th inning coming up.
NCAA athletes don't just compete, they make history. Representing our nation with pride and excellence, they bring home the hardware. Our college campuses serve as training grounds for the next generation of stars. Catch tomorrow's Olympians and Paralympians on the NCAA Championship stage today.
TJ Leno leads off for the Dolphins in the home 5th inning. Staten Island over Molloy 6-3. Nick, the Dolphins defense combined with a strong effort on the mound from Ryan Kehoe, really giving the Dolphins a boost in that last half inning, not giving up a run.
Yeah, that rundown really played a huge factor into that last half inning, Joe, because it's a difference maker of having, second and third and 1 out to having that runner on second and 2 outs. So a great job defensively for the Dolphins, and then a good job by Kehoe to get that punch out to retire the side.
That's fouled away by Leno. He remains behind in the count 0-2. As always, Nick, pitch counts are unofficial, not a stat tracked by the NCAA, but I do like to check in and get the pitch count from time to time. And I may have to wait a half inning to get it, for Kehoe anyway. I thought there was a spot in the box score that had it, but I don't believe there is, so we have to wait until...
I think you have to go to the individual tab.
I was there. Did I miss it? No, they don't have it. As Leno hits one a mile high up into the fog. And coming in is Serrano from left field to make the catch.
I wonder what's different, what's more, I'm a former baseball player as well as yourself, but what's probably more difficult, especially with this type of field, the fog or being a sunny day, like where, you have to battle in the sun? It's not easy conditions.
Most times, I don't think the fog is low set enough that it impacts the game. But today, unless it's just our very hazy windows, which is entirely possible.
It could be also that.
But it does look quite foggy. You can see it over at the tower behind the left field wall. What do they call that? Smokestack?
You guys,
what exactly is that? As that's hit along the right field line, could be trouble. There goes the hat, but tracking that ball into his glove to make the catch was the right fielder Coogan.
I think we need to make that a new stat. How many hats lost in a game between these two teams? There's been a lot already.
I think we've seen 2.
I think Weigel lost it twice.
Oh, did he twice?
I think it was twice.
I saw one of them for sure.
I know one for sure. I thought maybe he lost it again a second time.
Michael Flashner slices one down the line. Base hit. Flashner, big turn. Now heads for second. And was there a bobble there, Nick?
I think that led to him getting to second base, Joe. I think it's going to be a single and an error on the play.
If that is the case, that would be the first Molloy error.
You're not going to see it on replay either. I think what happened for Serrano on that play is he was looking towards second base to see where Flashner was, and in the process of that happening, he lost the ball and it fell out of his glove and allowed Flashner to get into second.
Let's see how they scored it.
They're Xing it right now.
They just checked with the chief, and I've spoken. Chief Foreman Osborne has decreed single and an error.
Okay.
For those who have not heard that before, I apologize.
You just sprung it out without no explanation.
I just broke it out.
A lot of Easter eggs, as we always mention
exactly.
on these broadcasts.
If you've been a long-time watcher, this is all one continuous story.
Easter's not too far around the corner, too.
That's true. Now, I have to go back and look at the schedule. I'm assuming that they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday that weekend and do not play on that Sunday, as that's grounded to short. Throw will go to first, and Weigel is retired. So the Dolphins strand Flashner in scoring position, and we head to the 6th, with Staten Island leading Molloy 6-3.
Cobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. live music, and the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dine-in order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Patrick Sanchez will lead off for Molloy here in the road 6th inning. The Lions still trail by 3 runs as Ryan Kehoe returns to the mound for CSI. And Nick, the reason we don't have a pitch count is because the option is turned off.
Oh, okay.
We'll have to go ask Stephanie in between innings.
I did that a couple of times at the Ferry Hawk, so it could be. It's very easy.
I definitely had the box checked for softball, so that's fouled away. I also had the pitch sequence box checked, which tells you each pitch of the at-bat in sequence. It's a nice feature as well. But, Nick, we are one of the few schools left that still use StatCrew. I think most schools now are using Presto. Count now 1-2.
Molloy faithful.
Sanchez.
Not happy about that last call. Not happy with that last strike.
Comes the 1-2. And that's lined sharply into right field for a base hit. More opposite field hitting in this game from Molloy. This time it's Sanchez with a leadoff single.
Yeah, you mentioned that Sanchez going the opposite way. Another base hit. In this game going the opposite way for both of these teams. And if Molloy can get another base runner on with Dagnello up to the plate again, they'll bring home once again the tying run to the plate.
Dagnello 1 for 2. And again, they'll check on the runner at first. And Nick, do you think it's just a matter of time before they test Brito again? He's been up to the task on the last 2 throws.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. He has gotten, his last 2 throws have been good. I would expect it maybe at some point in this at bat. But at the same time, you know, with the way Dagnello has swung so far in this game, do you really want to take a runner off of the bases and ruin a potential RBI chance for him?
I think you also have to ask the question, does what happened on that rundown deter you at all? Obviously, you had a runner thrown out at second. That did not deter them. They immediately attempted to steal again and were successful. As Dagnello takes a called strike, 1-1. And we talked about it during the last home game we covered, how when a team feels like they can run on you, the game becomes just so much more difficult and puts your entire team in a really bad position where it's almost a helpless position.
We saw that against Dominican the last time we called the game for the Dolphins. Dominican took really much, a lot of opportunities away for the Dolphins getting out of some innings with stolen bases.
With that last swing and miss, Dagnello falls behind 1-2.
There is action going up in the Dolphins bullpen. Nick Pusinelli right now warming up for CSI.
The entire reason the pitch count conversation even got started was that I was going to pose the question, how many outs can the Dolphins reasonably expect to get out of Ryan Kehoe? But without the pitch count, I can't be sure.
They almost got him at first base.
That's
right there.
Twice, Nick. There is a pitch clock. However, there is no limit on the amount of pickoffs you could try. I think at this point he would have balked him.
Yeah.
2 bases? 1 base?
1 base.
It's on the third one
yes.
that you move.
I think so.
I'm not really a fan of
I'm
that
not-
pace of play rule. I don't mind the pitch clock.
Yeah, the pitch clock.
I do mind that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It fundamentally changes the game because your stolen base total, in terms of pure number of stolen bases, it's going to be different from someone who played in an era where they could throw all over as many times as they wanted.
Right.
Completely different. So I'm not a fan of that. So that's fouled off. What do you think about the intentional walk without throwing a pitch?
I'm a fan of that, honestly. You don't like that?
I don't mind it. I'm
kind of like indifferent. I think it's easier just because instead of having to throw 4 pitches and then, keep the at bat going like for a couple more, like maybe a minute or two, whatever, how long it takes, you just throw up the 4 and the batter immediately goes.
There goes the runner, and the throw nearly got into center field, backed up nicely by Leno.
Well, it was once again bounced into second, and as you mentioned, Flashner tried to scoop it this time around, but if not for Leno backing him up, that runner could potentially move to third base. But Palomini also was there to back up as well, so might have had to think about that one.
Well, something I don't have to think about is my hatred for the runner on second in extra innings. I don't like that rule.
At least they don't do it for the postseason.
That's true. That's hit out to left field. Good luck finding that one from over here.
I
in the
lost
fog.
it.
Nick. It is a low-set fog. I don't know how apparent it is on the live stream, but finding the ball from here in the press box up in the air, not easy. That will bring up Jack Coogan with a runner in scoring position and now 1 out. An unproductive out there for Dagnello. Ideally, you would have liked to move the runner to third at the very least. Coogan at the plate is 0 for 2. He takes in the dirt. Aggressive base running here. And a low throw is picked by Weigel. Nicely done there by the Dolphins' third baseman.
Yeah, Weigel saved a run right there on that low throw. So keeps the runner at third base, but now a chance for Molloy to cut this deficit to 2 with a base hit.
And what was I saying about an unproductive out?
Sure.
The runner over to third anyway.
Yep.
Dolphins will concede the run here on a ground ball as Coogan, with a half swing there, may have fouled that off.
He did. He kind of tied himself up on that pitch. I think it maybe hit the knob of the bat.
Count even at 1. And there's a swing and miss, 1 and 2. Well, that's a big run on third for Molloy, and if you're the Lions here, you're really hoping that Coogan can at least put the ball in play and get him in.
Yeah, a chance for Keogh right here, Joe, with a strikeout to get that second out and keep that runner stranded.
And that's lined towards second, where Leno makes the leaping catch. 2 gone.
And that one's all about timing, Joe, because if Leno jumps a second earlier or a second later, that could go over his head or maybe hit off of his glove. So a nice job right there by the Dolphins' second baseman to get that second out of the inning.
At the plate now, Joe Barresi. Barresi at the plate, 1 for 2. Looks at that breaking ball outside. All game, Kehoe has pitched really well with runners on base in high-pressure spots. Looking to come through again here and keep this a 3-run game. The Lions hoping to make it a 2-run ball game with a base hit.
And that's a stat that if you're a pitcher, you like to see how many runners in score. Obviously you don't want to keep runners in scoring position a lot of the times in the game, but as long as you can strand them in scoring position, then that is obviously something you would like to see. But on the other flip of things, when you're a team that has love runners in scoring position, that's a stat you really, really don't want to look at.
And that one's off the hands and into the glove of Vigliotti. He tracked it over his shoulder, had to spin 180, and was able to snag it on the backhand. The Lions strand a runner on third, and once again, Ryan Kehoe does a good job of pitching with a runner in scoring position. He strands him, The Dolphins maintain a 6-3 lead, headed to the bottom half of the sixth.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled. And follow us on socials, check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
J.J. Hunter to the plate for the Dolphins here in the bottom half of the sixth inning. CSI leads Molloy 6-3 as that pitch misses up and away for ball one. Hunter 1 for 1 at the plate in this game. Pitch on its way, and he's out in front there on that swing and miss.
Yeah, you know how bad the fog can be, Joe, when the scoreboard started to become kind of tough to track as to what numbers are currently on there, because I can barely read them.
I was having trouble reading the board earlier. It has definitely gotten worse. 1-2 on Hunter, the count, and he takes high. I'm not sure I've covered a game like this in terms of fog since my very first year on Sportsnet.
Yeah.
And I remember the doubleheader that was like this, as Hunter swings and misses for strike three. But I think it was way back. It might have been my second year. If it wasn't my first year, it was my second year. The Dolphins were hosting the College of New Rochelle. We weren't sure if we were going to play. It was rainy, it was foggy, it was cold, and they ended up playing both games, if I'm not mistaken. And it had to be just a brutally long day for the players. At the plate now, Jandel Brito, and he takes up and away, ball one. Let's see how good my memory is, Nick. We're going to go back and look at the 2016 schedule, if the internet cooperates, as that's fouled off.
Big word, if.
It will load. It just may take a few minutes.
Yeah.
Comes the 1-1. Outside, 2-1. Comes the 2-1. That's hit in the air out to shallow right center, just beyond the infield. And ranging back to make the catch is Larkin. 2 gone.
The right fielder, number 38, Jack Kehoe.
That will bring up Jack Kehoe. Kehoe, the Dolphins' leadoff hitter. At the plate, 1 for 3, and he takes a strike. And, Nick, I did check the pitch count.
Yes.
It's in the 90s. For Kehoe, it had switched over to the next half inning, so they lost it. But it's in the 90s, so maybe one more inning for him.
Yeah, I was going to say it would have to be a clean inning for him to get the full 7th. I don't know if he would stay in there if he gave up a hit or a walk.
Kehoe now behind at the plate, 1-2. And that's just outside. 2-2 the count on the Dolphins' right fielder. And Kehoe just got a piece there.
Two and two.
That cold, rainy, foggy doubleheader that I was referring to against New Rochelle was played in 2018, so my third season. That pitch down in the dirt. April 15th, 2018. Back then, the Dolphins were still a Division III program. Here comes the payoff pitch. And Kehoe pops it up in foul ground. Out of play in the seats.
That one I saw for a few seconds.
That was hit a bit lower.
Yeah.
Now, I know I checked yesterday, and it said we were clear of rain, at least in terms of when we'd expect to wrap up here at the baseball complex.
We should be.
We are certainly clear. Yeah. No rain in the forecast until tonight around 9 o'clock, so we should be good.
Yeah, there's a storm coming, Joe. Some might say a red storm.
Oh, yeah?
I had to throw that.
Would some be you?
That someone is definitely me.
All right.
I didn't want to get accused of. I'll make my point in a second.
That's popped up. Foul territory. And making the catch, minus the mask, was Kalika. Side retired. Dolphins go down 1-2-3 in the sixth. We head to the seventh. Staten Island over Molloy, 6-3.
Dolphins fans, want to stay connected with everything happening at the College of Staten Island? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Catch all the live streams, exclusive behind-the-scenes tours, the latest episodes of CSI Today Talks, student film showcases, and so much more new programming. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button now at youtube.com/College of Staten Island, or scan the QR code on the screen and stay in the loop with everything CSI.
Seventh inning from the CSI baseball complex, where the Dolphins lead Molloy 6-3. And Nick, the lights have been turned on here at the baseball complex as the fog continues to play a role in this game. As you said before, the scoreboard was becoming a bit tough to read.
We have a pinch hitter here as well, Joe. Charlie Emhoff will lead off this top of the seventh.
Charlie Emhoff, the pinch hitter for Molloy here against Ryan Kehoe, who comes into the inning at 98 pitches. And his first here in the seventh is in for a strike.
So Emhoff replacing Stephen Kalika, and certainly a name that we are very familiar with.
Stephen Kalika, spelled differently.
Yep.
A former Dolphin. This is down and away.
I think we had a Kalika versus Kalika matchup when these two teams played when it was Kalika's senior year as well.
We did.
We were having very much fun with that.
Same name, different spelling of the first name, as that's in for strike.
So, Joe, before I mentioned that I didn't want to seem like I was a homer for a certain team today, especially considering we are playing a team that is wearing red. But to support my team that I graduate of St. John's University, I had to show some support to the Johnnies in their NCAA tournament game tonight.
So the pinch hitter Emhoff strikes out. And for Kehoe, that's punch out number 6.
I mentioned if he needs realistically, Joe, a clean inning here if he wants to go the full 7.
Keep in mind, Nick, this is 9 in a game.
Yes. Well, for him at least, to go to full 7.
When you say full 7,
yeah, I know.
I know you know.
Yeah,
but I wanted to make sure it was clear to our audience. That pitch down and in for ball 1.
I think with somewhat how it's cold outside, I think some of these people were hoping it was a 7-inning game.
Perhaps. Certainly no Lions fans hoping that.
That is true.
At least not yet. 1-2, or I should say 1-4-2, is Serrano at the plate. The count is 2-0.
A lot of numbers.
A lot of numbers.
A lot of numbers.
Contrary to popular belief, I am not a numbers guy.
You would think that would be the case.
I work a lot with spreadsheets and computer code, but that is not where I get any enjoyment.
No.
The fruits of that labor are enjoyable, but definitely not the process. 2-1 the count on Serrano here. I've never been a stats guy either. I never enjoy doing stats. As that's grounded through the left side for a base hit. And Serrano's now 2 for 3. He takes a big turn and got about a third of the way to second base before heading back.
Well, he was wise to stay there at first base. You can't really afford another out on the base path. We've already seen that in this game for Molloy. As you're trying to get back from a 3-run deficit, if they get another base runner on, they will bring the tying run to the plate. But for Kehoe here, Joe, a double play ball can get him out of the inning.
And they'll check on the runner at first. And certainly it's been no fault of Kehoe that the running game has thrived for the Lions in this one. Maybe thrived is a bit of a strong word, but they've had quite a few stolen bases in the game. As tied up on that pitch was Welsh. He's behind 0-1, but Kehoe's done a good job controlling the runners, and you can't throw over on every pitch, Nick. Eventually you have to deal, and the Lions have been very aggressive on the base paths. Kehoe's also very quick to the plate.
Yeah. And, I mean, you mentioned it earlier with the pitch clock. You have to kind of change your approach to some of these at-bats, and especially your pitching stance as well, because you have 20 seconds in between each pitch to make that next delivery. So that's something to also know once, you kind of have to change how you approach these next couple of batters as the game goes on.
Count even at 1-1 strike on Welsh, who rips one deep to left field, headed toward the wall, up into the fog, and that ball is out of here.
I lost it again, Joe.
Yeah, I had no clue where it landed, Nick, but that is a home run. That makes it a 1-run game as Sean Welsh delivers a 2-run blast over the left field wall. Molloy is now back to within a run.
And that's going to do it today for Ryan Kehoe, Joe. So a very solid outing, but it does end on a sour note, giving up that 2-run homer. And now it's a 1-run game once again off the bat of Welsh.
And that is another screaming line drive sent out of the baseball complex. Earlier, it was Palomini to left center, and now Welsh to left for Molloy. As we have a 1-run ball game, the Dolphins will make a pitching change. I believe Nick Pusinelli was throwing in the Dolphins bullpen. He will come in, and as he gets warm, we'll step aside and take a break. Dolphins now lead it by 1, 6-5.
Balance. It isn't just essential in your sport. It's essential in life, especially college life. It's everything you need to thrive in school, in sport, and everything in between. The key is just finding a place where you can pursue it all. Because the real beauty lies in the balance. If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Call to the bullpen for the Dolphins as Nick Pusinelli delivers his first pitch for ball one. At the plate for Molloy is Aiden Larkin. He bats in a one-run game with one out here in the road seventh. 2 runs already home in the inning on the 2-run homer by Sean Welsh. In just a moment, we'll get you the final line for CSI starter Ryan Kehoe. As there's a big swing and a miss there by Larkin.
Yeah, Larkin looking to tie this game up with one swing.
Kehoe in this game went 6 1/3, allowed 5 runs, 4 earned on 9 hits. And that's lined toward right center and down for a base hit. Larkin is on with a 1-out single, and that will bring the go-ahead run to the plate for Molloy.
Yeah, Larkin gets another great piece of hitting right there. Single up into right center field. As you mentioned, brings the go-ahead runner to the plate, Joe, and that being their cleanup hitter once again, James Sill. And if you think about it, Joe, a big aspect of this game right now, really realistically, the difference of this game is that rundown at third base. That's right now the difference between these two teams.
Well, the way this game is playing out, it looks like one run could be make or break for either of these teams, and obviously Molloy potentially took a run off the board with that rundown. I don't believe that they put a ball in play that would have scored a run from third after that. But you never know how an inning's going to play out with a runner on first and third versus a runner only on second. And Pusinelli's 0-1 misses outside. He didn't like the call.
Yeah, he was very visible. You could even see it on our camera. He wasn't happy about the call as well as Burrito. They thought they had that strike too.
Count now 1-1 on James Sill. And the breaking ball's in for a called strike 2. Pusinelli looking for a big third strike. Molloy looking to move one step closer to tying this game. And the breaking ball missed inside. Pusinelli once again did not like the call.
Yeah, he was trying to fool him on that inside pitch, and not only he thought that was strike 3, the Dolphins dugout thought that was strike 3 as well.
Count now 2-2, and Pusinelli will check on the runner at first. And I was about to say, Nick, he wasn't paying nearly as close attention as Kehoe was. I think if you're Molloy as well, with that being the tying run over at first, perhaps you're a bit less aggressive with the middle of the order coming up, but what do I know? As there he goes, and
right
the throw
to
second is not in time. So I think something else, too, that I picked up during this at-bat, obviously you've seen it as well, Pusinelli has been throwing that breaking ball.
Yeah.
And that's a much easier pitch to run on, especially when you've been running rampant all game.
So now the question is going to be, Joe, does they go back to the breaking ball here on 3-2 with the risk of potentially walking the batter and putting first and second on?
Putting the go-ahead run on base is always dangerous. I think you have to attack and let things play out as they may. And instead, Pusinelli missed badly with a fastball away, and he walked Sill. Now 2 on from Molloy, still just 1 out. And coming to the plate will be Patrick Sanchez.
And remember, again, the Dolphins can get out of the inning with a double play ball. So they would love to have that happen in this spot. But as we mentioned in that last at-bat, he kept going to the breaking ball to try to get him to swing. Went with the fastball on that full count pitch and just missed it on the outside.
And there's a first pitch breaking ball strike.
You see Burrito calling time, trying to talk to his pitcher as well.
Well, I'll tell you, the Molloy dugout didn't like that call, or at least one of their fans didn't.
I think it was the way Burrito had set up. He kind of caught the ball standing up in a sense, and I think that's why they were confused at the strike call.
Yeah, they have a fan in the front row of the bleachers behind the dugout who is very upset with that call. He may be biased.
Maybe?
Just a bit. Just a bit.
Nothing wrong with the fans.
I might be biased if I was in the front row along the third base dugout, as that's fouled off. But once this headset goes on, I forget who I work for.
Right.
I work for the love of the game, Nick.
Yes, of course.
Pusinelli ahead here, 0-2.
You certainly don't call it for the love of this weather.
No. We're closing that window after this inning.
Mm-hmm.
It is getting cold.
Very cold. And you can even see it now, Joe. It wasn't as visible as it was earlier. The fog is now starting to overtake the infield.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever worked a game in conditions like this. Comes the 0-2. And that gets away from Brito. That will move the tying run to third and the go-ahead run into scoring position at second.
And I talked about this earlier where, you have that 2-strike pitch. Do you want to try to throw something in the dirt, maybe try to get the batter to chase? But you run the risk of a potential wild pitch and allowing both runners to move into position. And now, with that wild pitch, a base hit right here can give Molloy their first lead of the game.
1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Sanchez. Big pitch from Pusinelli. Hit back toward the middle and through for a base hit. The go-ahead run will come in to score, and the Lions have taken a 7-6 lead.
It's all kind of unraveled in this inning for the CSI, Joe. They got the first out. Keogh gives up the home run. Later in the inning, they go to the bullpen, and Pusinelli was 1 strike away from a huge second out, and that one just rolled past his glove up the middle of the field for the base knock. And now, for the first time in this game, Molloy has a lead.
Pusinelli had it hit right back at him. It wasn't hit that hard, but hard enough to get through him. And once it got past the Dolphins reliever, there was no chance for the middle infield. Molloy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Molloy now in front by a run sends Nicholas Stagnello to the plate.
And I was going to mention that the infield was in on that play as well. So even if they were playing normal depth, I don't think they would have been able to make the play. Maybe they could have held the runner at second to third, but it would having the infield in definitely didn't help as well for CSI.
That one gets away as well, and that's the second of the inning that has gotten to the backstop. And that really set things up, Nick. You did not need to bring the infield in if you had runners on first and second. Both runners advance on the wild pitch. And now another runner advances on another wild pitch. At least I believe that's how both were scored. We'll check that in a second.
It should have been scored that way.
Yeah, our live stats aren't updating well, so couldn't tell you.
Half swing right there. Did he go? And he did not.
We've said it many times before, Nick. It's a conversation we've had over and over again, but the big question mark for the Dolphins is always the final 9 outs of the game, generally speaking. Today, 8 outs, but where are those outs going to come from when you have a lead? And I think, obviously, it hurt you to give up the 2 runs here in the inning on the 2-run homer, but you at least allowed the reliever to inherit a clean inning. Nobody on base. Kehoe did get an out. And thus far, Pusinelli yet to record an out. He's behind here 3-1 with 2 runs already home. And that's in the dirt for ball 4.
And that might lead to another pitching change, Joe. The Dolphins did have someone warming up, but with the sweatshirt on, we couldn't see the number. We'll probably find out in a few moments who it is coming in.
Pitching change for CSI. We'll bring that to you after this break. Molloy now leads Staten Island 7-6, 2 on, 1 out here in the road 7th inning.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends, live sports and watch parties, to Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Campuses nationwide, the NCAA is making transformative changes for student athletes. While they pursue their biggest dreams, we're launching new initiatives to help them. Life-changing education opportunities are just the start. The NCAA is providing enhanced mental health services. We're guaranteeing scholarships and tuition and expanding access to healthcare. Visit ncaa.org/change to learn more.
Jack Coogan to the plate for Molloy with 2 on here in the 7th inning. The Lions have gone in front 7-6. They now have 11 hits in the game and are looking for more. Alex Martinez, the new Dolphins pitcher. He's coming off back-to-back strong starts. Pitched exclusively out of the bullpen last year and has started 2 games for the Dolphins here this year. He's behind Coogan 1-0, but Nick, Martinez has pitched really well in his last 2 outings, and the Dolphins need him to come through in a big way right now.
Yeah, not an easy spot for him to come into right now. So looks like that one missed on the inside for ball 2. You know, now your team's trailing for the first time in this game. It's first and second, still just 1 out. I mentioned before, a double play ball can get you out of the inning, but they cannot afford at this spot to really give up another base hit. They don't want the lead to even go up further for Molloy in this game.
Well, when Martinez has struggled, it has been with command, and he is now behind 3-0. Get you the numbers for Martinez on the season in just a moment.
In danger of loading the bases up right here.
And he finds the zone there. Martinez comes in with a 3.07 ERA, a record of 1-2 across 4 appearances and 2 starts. He has 1 complete game at 14 2/3. He's allowed 12 hits and 5 runs, all of those earned. He has walked 7 and struck out 13. Opposing batters hitting .222 against him as the Lions had a double steal on right there on 3-1. Pitch was fouled back, and that was definitely a hit-and-run spot right there with Coogan swinging.
Yeah, that's hurt the Dolphins a couple of times this season. We've seen teams execute hit-and-runs against CSI, and it's worked to perfection for them. That one just missed for an extra base hit and bringing home both those runners as well.
Molloy has been very aggressive in so many different ways in this game, as Martinez will check the runner.
This is an all-important pitch right here, Joe. 3-2 with one out. A big difference from getting a strikeout to loading the bases with still just one away in the inning.
3-2 on its way. Watch out.
Joe, it hit the camera. It hit the camera. It went back on.
Oh, boy. We have a struck camera.
Now, I can tell you the camera is back on. It just got moved out of place.
It got moved, so it probably hit the tripod.
It might have hit the tripod.
You've got to be kidding me, man. As that is swung on and missed for strike 3.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's my personal camera, Nick. We'll check in between innings. Our crew says it looks all right.
So the question is, do you want me to go back to that camera in the meantime? Well, Joe's going to go check it, so we're just going to use our camera from inside the press box until we find out if that camera is good or not. Martinez gets a rundown here. The throw to third is in time. So Martinez gets the pickoff as he caught the runner sleeping, and that will retire the side. So the Dolphins do get out of the inning, but not before Molloy attacks for 4 runs here in the top of the 7th. They now head into the bottom of the 7th with their first lead of the game. They lead this one 7-6.
In a very historical school, and we really have to recognize, as students on this campus, the amount of sacrifice that has been bared for us to be able to receive education.
CUNY has really inspired me to think creatively and think differently about how it is we listen to one another. And so long term, my goal is to continue that pattern.
But I think I'd encourage students to attend CUNY because the faculty here is truly amazing.
All right, Nick, I just returned from checking on our camera outside. It appears everything is okay there.
Thank whoever for that one.
Oh, boy.
Camera's having a rough time out there. Not only potentially getting hit, but it's also raining here. So
it was a bit wet.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was raining because we have not seen any precipitation on the press box window, but the camera was very wet as Palomini gets backed off the plate there, up and in fastball on 0-2.
Now we were informed, Joe, not only a new pitcher, but a new catcher as well.
The new catcher
is Ryan Zegers.
That's the new pitcher.
That's the new catcher.
The catcher's 34. The catcher is Jeremy Taggart.
Oh, sorry. I saw the 4 in the back.
That fog, Nick, it's getting you.
I know. I saw the 4 in the back. I was looking through the roster. I didn't even realize 34, yeah.
And Palomini hits one on one hop to second, and that is another nice play by Larkin.
So first out of the inning quarter right there for Molloy. Thomas Charwood is the pitcher for the Lions. That time, I'm certain that's the right number.
He was throwing earlier, and you can see just how dark it's getting on the wide shot.
Yeah.
That really does it justice. Though I have to admit, our second camera, not great, as A.J. Vigliotti was swinging to tie the game right there. He's behind 0-1. Vigliotti at the plate in this game is 1 for 3.
We have Michael Santoriello also warming up for the Dolphins in their bullpen.
Well, I think if you're these two teams, you do have the benefit of the off day to play with tomorrow. So you can be a bit more aggressive with your bullpen usage. You don't have 3 straight days of baseball. So just because you throw somebody today doesn't mean you won't have them for the doubleheader, as that is popped up on the infield. And again, Larkin makes the catch.
Charwood on that last one went with the off-speed pitch. It looked like Vigliotti was a little bit underneath on that one. It'll be up to Leno to try to extend the inning for the Dolphins.
TJ Leno will be the batter, and on a day like this, Nick, I'm shocked I haven't noticed it yet. I don't know how he's going without batting gloves.
Yeah, I'm considering putting gloves on up here in the press box.
It's a bit chilly.
Yeah, just a bit.
Though with the window closed, it's now much more comfortable. And admittedly, I did not dress for this kind of weather.
No, I didn't either. Was not thinking ahead.
That pitch misses high. 2-1 the count now on Leno.
And I think we were, starting to get accustomed to a little bit better spring weather. It was sunny for a couple days, not too warm, not too cold. And I think that's what, we were kind of hoping for today. But obviously with some rain in the forecast for later tonight, you have kind of weather like this here in this game.
Well, Nick, all but one of the games I have broadcasted this year have been in either Myrtle Beach or Florida, as Leno takes inside for ball 4, and the Dolphins now have a 2-out base runner.
So they get the tying run on first. Go ahead and run at the plate in Jaden Waterman. And, Joe, I get the sense, and I wouldn't be surprised at some point this at bat, maybe if the Dolphins try to go for a hit and run.
Well, I think if you're CSI here, there's not much to lose trying to move Leno into scoring position before Waterman puts the ball in play, if you trust him to run it all. But we'll see perhaps if they try the hit and run. And, the Lions are well aware of that possibility of a stolen base as well. They check on Leno there. Comes the 0-1. That misses low. Waterman, the lone Dolphin in this game, with 2 hits outside of Chris Palomini. Palomini 2 for 4. Waterman 2 for 3. And he takes in the dirt for ball 2. Two and 1 the count, and they will check on Leno again. So the Lions are committed to not letting Leno go anywhere, keeping that tying run over at first base. And Waterman takes inside for ball 3. So all of a sudden, Charwood has lost the strike zone.
And he was trying to prevent a stolen base from happening this at bat, but he might put the runner in scoring position right here if he walks the batter.
And he does. So Waterman walks on 5 pitches, and now Michael Flashner has a chance with the tying run in scoring position and 2 outs here in the inning.
And we know the 2 runners on base have good capability to get around and score. So if Flashner is able to get something into the gap, Joe, the Dolphins can regain the lead.
Dolphins, at the very least, would like to see Flashner keep this inning going, but they'd certainly be content with a base hit to get this game tied again. First pitch on its way to Flashner. Down and away, ball one. I think you're at the point now where if you're Flashner, you're taking a strike.
With the way Charwood's throwing these last couple of pitches, you have to wait to see if you get something good.
He's been all over the place. And Flashner does take a strike. Count even at 1. Flashner at the plate, 1 for 3. And he takes up high.
Taggart tried to frame that one to get a strike, but to no avail. It's now a 2-1 count.
This is a big pitch here because if you fall behind 3-1, that gives Flashner a huge opportunity. And he does take high for ball 3.
Yeah, Charwood has tried to get that fastball at the chest-high area of Flashner, but has not gotten that strike. And you mentioned it, Joe. It's a hitter's count right here for Flashner here at 3-1.
No question about it. Big pitch here for Charwood. And he misses high with ball 4. 3 straight walks now for the Lions reliever. And a huge chance here for Vincent Weigel to perhaps give the Dolphins the lead.
I mean, you can't ask for a better spot right here if you're Weigel. He's made some nice defensive plays in this game at third base, and now he'll come up to the plate, but bases loaded, still 2 outs in the inning. But a base knock could give the Dolphins back the lead.
The Lions do have Dylan Shriver, in the bullpen. But I don't know if he can get ready fast enough. They are buying him some time here with a conversation between pitcher and catcher. I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Joe, on my phone I have the video of the camera being hit. I didn't get to capture the replay of it, but I have it set on my phone.
Well, you got to play that at quarter speed for me during the break.
Yeah.
Be nice if we could share it. And Nick, they were buying time for the reliever. The Lions are going to make a pitching change right here. So it looks like Shriver's going to come into the game and inherit the bases loaded with 2 outs in the home half of the 7th. The Dolphins hoping to tie this one or take the lead. Molloy hoping to hold on to the lead when we come back. Vincent Weigel, the batter for the Dolphins. They have the bases loaded with 2 outs here in the home 7th, trailing by a run. Dylan Shriver, the new Lions pitcher, deals ball 1 in the dirt. Weigel ahead 1-0.
And what a tough spot for Shriver to come into this game, Joe. Bases loaded, has no bases to work with, so he can't afford another walk in this inning.
Shriver has been one of Molloy's best pitchers this season as Weigel fouls that one back, but he comes in with a .84 ERA across 5 appearances, all in relief. In 10 2/3, he's allowed 7 hits, 3 runs, only 1 of those earned. He has walked 7, but he has struck out 14 opposing batters, hitting just .184 against him. Count on Weigel even at 1-1.
Certainly the guy you want up in the spot if you're a Molloy fan, but he's now behind the count 2-1.
Pivotal pitch right here in a 2-1 count. Bases loaded with Dolphins, 2 outs in a 7-6 ball game. Shriver's pitch in the dirt for ball 3.
He's been kind of working around Weigel, trying to get him on the inside, now on the outside, and once again, the Dolphins have a hitter's count here, 3-1. And as I mentioned, there's no bases to throw, have open. They can't afford to walk.
3-1. Low, ball 4. And the Dolphins have tied the game behind 4 straight walks.
Unfathomable to think about, Joe. 4 straight walks, all coming with 2 outs. And CSI has now tied the game. And now, how about this, a spot for Chris Bartnick? He's going to come into pinch hit with 2 outs in the 7th. The game now tied at 7. And then a chance to give CSI once again the lead in this game.
CSI pinch hitter is Chris Bartnick. Bartnick gets his first at-bat of this game with the bases loaded in a tie game. We are all even at 7. The first pitch, in at the knees for a strike. Most of the Dolphins' dugout now up on the railing. The 0-1. Fouled off.
Just got a piece of that one.
Bartnick in a 2-strike hole. Shriver comes set. The 0-2 on its way. And the breaking ball is in for a called strike 3. Huge strikeout for Dylan Shriver and the Lions. However, the Dolphins have gotten even. They strand the bases loaded, but the tying run comes in on a walk. And through 7, we are all tied at 7.
Hobra, a taco joint, Staten Island, where we're proud to have shared our family-first spirit with people from throughout New York City and the world. With indoor dining available both at the bar and on the floor. Or step outside for additional seating and an outdoor bar. Serving beer that's crisp, ice cold, and worthy of a day at the beach. Cocktails that explode with flavor. And great food made with the freshest and healthiest ingredients available. Events feature food and drink specials. Live music. And the best of Staten Island nightlife. Your CSI Student ID saves you 10% on your dining order at Hobra. Visit us at 412 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
New pitcher for the Dolphins here in the 8th inning as Jack Kehoe will come on out of the Dolphins bullpen from out in right field. So he moves from right field to pitcher. Chris Riley takes over in right, and Kehoe enters a tie ball game, having pitched just 1 inning this year. He faced 2 batters officially and issued a walk, but recorded 3 outs in his 1 inning of work, picked up a win. Or I should say, came on in relief, did not pick up a win. It is so misleading, Nick. Appearances and games started right next to the win-loss column. Very easy mistake to make, but 1 inning pitch for Kehoe this year. He did not allow a run, walked 1 batter, and his first pitch here in the 8th inning is taken for ball 1 by Joe Barresi.
You know, for me, I mentioned that I thought Michael Santoriello was warming up in the bullpen because
I trusted you, Nick.
He's the only lefty on the team that is a pitcher. So you know what happens when you assume, Joe. You know, that's what happened on that one. I just assumed it was Santoriello. And
speak for yourself. You did nothing to me.
I didn't say you assume. I said you know what happens when you assume.
And I said, well, I can't say it, but
no, you can't say it.
You only made a fuss out of yourself.
Yes,
not me.
Yes. Unless you trusted me, which
I did not.
Okay, good.
The 2 1s popped up, though.
It's probably for your best.
It was a trust in that I assumed you were correct.
I think it's better for yourself. I don't even trust my own self, Joe, at this point.
Well, it is March Madness time, and you are a big St. John's fan, graduate, so you are invested. I have no investment. I just watch for love of the game.
Yep.
First out of the inning comes quickly on an infield pop-up. Vigliotti made the catch right along the first base line. At the plate here, Jeremy Taggart, the new catcher, and that was fouled back.
We do appreciate everyone that's tuning in to today's game of the week. Of course, obviously, while March Madness is currently going on in Division I basketball, but we do appreciate everyone that is tuning in to what has turned out to be a really good contest between these two teams.
This game could potentially go down as one of the best in the D2 history of CSI. The sample size is limited, keep in mind, because that very first season was abbreviated and just 2 seasons since.
I'll tell you what, Joe, the only way that the Dolphins will agree with that sentiment is if they're able to win this game.
I think if I had, and this is, of course, only referring to games I've called, but I think the best call of all time for me at the Division II level came against the University of Bridgeport. It was one of my very first games calling D2 Dolphins baseball. I believe it was called with Dave Pizzuto, our former SID and now the Director of Marketing and Communications for the college. But he and I called that game. It was an extra inning marathon. I think the final score was something like 15-14, and the Dolphins walked it off to win. I'd have to go way back and look, but I think that game was in 21. That's it on the ground to third. Weigel snow cones it and throws to first in time to get Taggart for out number 2.
I, of course, had the pleasure last year to call the Dolphins' walk-off win against Holy Family that hit by Nico Rodriguez. And for myself, I have assumed that's probably one of the better games that CSI's had since they moved to the Division II era as well.
Well, I said there were 2 seasons since that abbreviated season. There have been 3. That just shows you how much time flies. 21 was abbreviated. We then had 22, 23, and 24.
Interesting note right there, Joe. Serrano with 2 outs in the inning showing bunt on that first pitch thrown by Kehoe on the outside.
I think he was taking all the way there. And Nick, memory serves me correctly once again. April 5th, 2021. Dolphins, Purple Knights. CSI wins 14-13. Let's see how many innings that game went. 10. 14 runs on 18 hits for the Dolphins, 13 runs on 13 hits for the Purple Knights. At the plate here for Molloy is their leadoff hitter, Sean Serrano. And he's ahead now 2-0.
I think the count should be 3-0, though.
You might be right.
Yeah, I think they're a pitch behind.
It is 3-0 now.
It's 3-0.
Yeah.
That's ball 4.
I blame the fog. As Serrano takes ball 4. And, Nick, that's just how the Dolphins inning got started in the 7th. A 2-out walk with the bases empty.
Yeah, now you put the leadoff base runner on base, still with 2 outs. So a huge chance for Sean Welsh, who has made a nice impact in this game, Joe, of course. With 1 base hit into the outfield, into the gap, he give Molloy right back the lead. Now I'm missing the dirt for ball 1.
At the plate is Sean Welsh, who hit that 2-run homer his last time up. With that homer, he's 2 for 3 as that's popped up on the infield. Flashner makes the catch, and the side is retired. So Jack Kehoe comes out of the Dolphins bullpen to pitch an inning of scoreless relief. Molloy strands 1 following the 2-out walk, and the Dolphins come to bat, all tied at 7 in the home 8th. The Dolphins come to bat in a tie game here in the home half of the 8th inning. Chandel Brito, the batter, leading things off for CSI, takes ball 1 in the dirt. As Dylan Shriver returns to the mound from Molloy, and I'm going to have to go find out what's going on next door, Nick.
Yeah, there's a lot of laughter going on next door. Hopefully not at our expense, Joe. I mean, we wouldn't want that.
As Joe Calabrese, our PA announcer today, knows, he and I, quite the comedic tandem.
Yeah.
You and I have a big act to follow
I know,
in that regard.
Not an easy one to follow.
I think Joe is probably imparting his astrological knowledge. That's what the laughter is coming from.
Could be some of the stories that he heard in Florida.
It was story time quite a bit down in Florida during CSI Softball's trip. Count on Brito, 2-1. And he takes high, 3-1.
It's going to be interesting to hear the next batter, because the next batter is now the new pitcher for the Dolphins in this game. I think it's the second straight game that we've called where a position player is pitching for the Dolphins.
Well, taking a look at his body of work so far in a limited sample size, Kehoe is not looking like a pitcher, that's for sure.
And Joe Shriver thought there was 3 strikes. At least I think, because
he was wrong.
Yeah, because he got off the mound and started clapping as if there was 3 strikes.
It happens.
So
it happens.
It does happen to the best of us.
It does. It can happen to anybody. And Brito chops one to third. Fair ball. What a pick at third, but the throw is wide, and I think it ended up in the Molloy dugout.
Yeah, that one did go out of play.
So Brito will move up to second, and the Dolphins now have the go-ahead run in scoring position with nobody out.
And that's a tough break right there because it was a great scoop at third base, but the throw was just a little bit offline. And now, Joe, I wouldn't be surprised if Keogh bunts in this spot right here, especially with Palomini and Vigliotti right up.
There is a huge chance that he bunts.
Yeah.
Nick, huge chance. Given the way we've seen Mike Morrow manage over the years, I don't think there's any doubt he's bunting.
I would be stunned if he doesn't bunt.
I agree. He is not showing bunt, Nick. He's swinging. And it's effectively a swinging bunt. Kehoe will retreat.
He's pulling the Javier Baez right there, Joe. He ran backwards. At least from
our crew next door got a good kick out of that.
At least for Molloy's sake, it didn't turn out the way that Javier Baez got that done a few years ago.
How did it turn out when Javi did it?
You don't remember that?
No.
I'll have to show you the clip. So
and I watch a lot of baseball.
So
these
he
days.
grounded out to first base. The first baseman had him in the rundown down the first base line, but the runner at third base scored, and the first baseman had to he threw it to home plate late. And then Baez was still able to run back to first. He got to first base, and an error got him into second base. It was a wacky sequence. I'll show you it once our game's over.
During the break,
it's
for a newfound appreciation.
It's one of the more weird plays you see in baseball. You don't really see that often. It's a very rare occasion when something like that happens.
Interesting.
How about that pitch right there from Shriver? Got that breaking ball in the outside corner to even the count at one, but all Palomini has to do in this at-bat, Joe, is get the ball into the outfield, and he gives CSI the lead.
The infield in all around for Molloy. The Dolphins looking to bring home the go-ahead run. The score tied at 7 as we play in the bottom half of the 8th inning.
And with no action going up in the Dolphin bullpen, Joe, this is Keogh's game in the 9th inning.
That's hit slowly back toward the mound. Shriver dives on top of it and throws to first in time to get Palomini.
What a play by Shriver, Joe. Fell to the ground, made the throw to first base in time, and it's not an easy one to get a runner like Palomini as well. A huge second out recorded, and the biggest reason for that being huge is that they kept the runner at third base, so it's going to be up to A.J. Vigliotti now to try to bring home the runner and give CSI the lead once again.
Huge play there by Shriver to get that out at first base with how that ball was hit, how slowly it was hit, Nick. The Dolphins just had no chance to make any break for the plate. And now it's left to A.J. Vigliotti with one out in the inning and a runner over at third. So at the very least, if you're the Dolphins, you still have 2 outs to play with.
Well, Joe, shouldn't there be 2 outs, though?
You're right. You know, Nick, I thought there were 2 outs, and I looked at the board and saw 1. So I'll let them know.
There should be 2 outs.
I'll let them know. All right. Okay. So I apologize for that. I was about to say it's left to Vigliotti with 2 outs, and then I looked up at the scoreboard.
I was going to say to myself because I remember 1 out was recorded in the inning.
Well, and that's why you always use the live stats and not the scoreboard. Unfortunately, our internet is not allowing me to use the live stats. So we carry on. Comes the 1-1, and it's fouled away.
Yeah, Brito led off the inning and got on. And then Kehoe was the first out of the inning.
Forgot about the swinging bunt.
Yep.
Effectively 2 swinging bunts back to back. Here comes the 1-2. And look at Shriver. He is putting everything behind these pitches here. He knows how big of an out this is.
Well, I mentioned there's no action up in the Dolphin bullpen. There's also no action up in the Molloy bullpen. So Shriver and Kehoe are trying to keep this game tied, and Shriver just needs 1 strike here to keep it that way.
2-2 on its way. In the dirt, ball 3. Behind Vigliotti, T.J. Leno stands in the on-deck circle. 3-2. Down and away, ball 4.
A great job by Taggart there, Joe, because that one was well on the outside for ball 4. If he does not scoop that ball, that could go behind the backstop and allow Brito to score from third base.
That's a good point, Nick. That pitch was not close and very easily could have ended up wild at the backstop. It looks like Molloy is going to hold a conference at the mound here. As you said, Nick, there was no action in the bullpen, so I don't anticipate a pitching change.
I know they're going to have a conference at the mound, but could one of the conversations maybe to have load the bases and just try to get the out at any base? That I don't think you would do that.
I don't think you take that chance.
I don't think you should.
I don't think there's any chance you take that chance, but smarter men than me make these decisions.
And I think they know that Vigliani is not going to realistically steal second base either, especially now with 2 outs in the inning. If there was 1 out, you could make that case, try to get that cutoff throw potentially. But a big spot for Leno with first and third, still 2 outs. A single here would give CSI back the lead. And Leno already has himself an RBI hit in this game.
This, a huge at-bat for the Dolphins. TJ Leno coming to the plate with the go-ahead run at third. 2 outs here in the home 8th inning. Dolphins have not beaten Molloy since March of 2023. And have beaten the Lions just once in their history as Leno takes ball 1. And Leno hits one to first. It was initially booted, but recovering to make the play was Dagnello to retire the side. So the Dolphins strand runners on the corners in the 8th. We head to the 9th, still tied at 7.
Imagine earning a world-class education on a beautiful and accessible campus in the world's most exciting city. Not only does CSI offer a magnificent campus atmosphere, the College of Staten Island excels in dynamic student life, outstanding academics, new high-end apartment-style living, and a dedicated, award-winning faculty.
Aiden Larkin, the batter from Molloy, to lead off the road 9th inning in a tie ball game. 7-7 our score. Jack Kehoe back to the mound for the Dolphins. who were turned aside in the home half of the 8th as that's
much
hit well.
trouble.
Deep left center. Palomini racing back, makes the catch on the warning track.
Joe, I'm going to love with you. I couldn't see the ball again. I couldn't tell if Palomini made the catch or not. But, man, that's a huge catch recorded by the Dolphins center fielder. Otherwise, that was extra bases for Larkin and a huge out number 1 for the Dolphins.
Huge first out here in the 9th inning for CSI against the middle of the Lions batting order. Larkin flies out to deep left center to lead things off. Now James Sill, the designated hitter and cleanup hitter at the plate, takes ball 1.
The old term, a loud out number 1 to start off this inning.
Most center fielders are not getting to that ball. Palomini, with his great range, was able to run it down, but most center fielders are not getting that. Huge play there by the CSI center fielder. And the 1-1 pitch from Kehoe, not offered at. Check swing and appeal to first. No swing.
I will say, Joe, with me watching the St. John's game later, I'm very glad. Initially I wasn't happy about a 10 p.m. tip-off, but with the way this game's going, I'm very grateful now that it's 10 p.m. tip-off.
I think it's clearly working out well for you.
Yeah, it's definitely helping out. And now a full count here for Sill, so chance for him to get on first base via potentially a walk. Let's see what Kehoe has to offer up here on this full count pitch.
1 away in the inning. Payoff pitch upcoming to Sill. Fouled off. So the battle continues here.
I will say, Joe, I heard someone say, "Ooh, I'm praying that's not a carve," for them saying that. We made it this far.
It usually is. That usually means
maybe they could have been saying "ooh" about something else, but
I wouldn't count on it.
And
that's up and away for ball 4.
Yeah, we've made it almost 9 innings. Let's not have any incidents out in the parking lot.
Well, you never want to see a vehicle struck by a ball. It's always bad news.
We're gonna have a pinch runner as well, Joe. Thomas Lebrecht is going to come in to pinch run for Sill at first base.
At the plate will be Patrick Sanchez. He's 2 for 3. And we'll see how aggressive Molloy is on the bases here at the pinch runner. Lefty on the mound, so that's something to keep in mind as well. A bit of an easier time keeping tabs on the runner. Kehoe behind Sanchez, 1-0 here. Comes the 1-0. That's fouled off.
I will say, Joe, thankfully that pitcher batter camera is still standing. We took a look at the video on the ECC app, and
direct hit.
I am very stunned it's still standing at this current point in the game.
It must have been grazed. What could have happened, Nick, is that the ball hit the elevator shaft in front and it shook.
It bounced off or
shook
something.
The camera because the camera was propped up right against the elevator. So if that wall was hit, it could have shaken the camera. If that camera got hit head on, there's no way that it's still standing and working.
When it initially got off, I thought it was done entirely.
It looked like it as that's dribbled through the right side for a base hit. Lebrecht looks to go first to third, and he will. He slides in safely. And the Lions now have the go-ahead run on third with just 1 out following that base hit by Sanchez.
Sanchez, once again, Joe, going the opposite way. We've seen that a bunch of times in this game from Molloy. And that one was an interesting one because you had to run around first base, Lebrecht trying to avoid being hit by the ball. Bigliotti was playing close towards the bag, trying to cover the runner, and just couldn't make the play. And now a very tough spot for Kehoe. First and third, just 1 out in the inning, can get out of it with the double play. But we'll see what the Dolphins can do here. I would expect Molloy to try to do what they did earlier with sending the runner to second, But this time, obviously, not sending that runner from third to home to try to avoid another rundown.
Interested to see how the Lions will play this. I think if you're Molloy with one out, don't take any chances. Just let your hitter hit. At the plate is Nicholas Dagnello. He's behind 0-1.
We spoke about it earlier. Dagnello having one of the better hits in this game with that RBI double that got Molloy onto the score column.
And there's a swing and a miss on the pitch in the dirt. Quickly 0-2 now on Dagnello.
Ryan Fiore right now up in the Dolphin bullpen as well. And I wonder, Joe, if he is able to get the out here, would the Dolphins try to buy some time like Molloy did and try to get the righty-righty matchup on deck?
Possible, as that's fouled off. That being said, Nick, I get the sense that if you brought Kehoe in the 8th and kept him in to start the 9th, that he's your guy. That would be my guess. I could be completely mistaken, but that is my inclination. So if he gets an out here, I think he stays in. And that's hit sharply to second. Could be 2, 4, 6, 3. Double play. And the Dolphins escape trouble in the road 9th inning. Jack Kehoe gets a much-needed double play grounder. The Dolphins infield executes on the 4-6-3 double play. And we head to the bottom of the 9th with the score all tied at 7.
Balance. It isn't just essential in your sport. It's essential in life, especially college life. It's everything you need to thrive in school, in sport, and everything in between. The key is just finding a place where you can pursue it all. Because the real beauty lies in the balance. If you want to win in every arena of college life, go D2. Make it yours.
Bottom of the 9th inning from the CSI Baseball Complex. The Dolphins and Lions are all tied at 7. Dylan Shriver back to the mound for Molloy. The first batter he will face is Jaden Waterman. And Waterman skies one down the right field line. Foul ball.
Another hat lost in the process.
Long run out there for the right fielder Coogan. And as you said, Nick, in the process, the headwear was left behind. At the plate, Waterman 2 for 3 with a walk. Flasher and Weigel do up behind him as Waterman takes inside.
Now, Joe, how do you check your hotspot thing?
Just hit the button on top. Just click in the button. There's a button up top.
4.26, 4.6 gigabytes used.
We'll be good.
Yeah. That was a concern once I realized this half inning. I said, oh, how are we doing at gigabytes? 'Cause
Yeah.
We'll be able to make the conclusion of this game.
And Waterman takes a call at strike 3. So Waterman goes down looking for the first out in the home ninth, and Michael Flashner will be the batter.
I mentioned still no action up in the Molloy bullpen, so Shriver will stay in this game for Molloy, trying to send this one into extras. We saw in the last half inning the Dolphins were warming up Ryan Fiore. Would be curious to see if this game were to go to extras, if it was him or if it was Keogh once again pitching for CSI.
I don't think they would go to Kehoe for a third inning. That's my instinct. Could be wrong once again, as that's fouled off. It's hard to believe that I've only called, of the now Dolphins have played 21 games, I've only called 5? 4 in Myrtle Beach and 1 on Staten Island. This is number 6. So I have not been on the call for the majority of CSI's games. And when you're writing a recap, you don't really pick up on things like how they manage the pitching staff, how they'll manage certain situations, whether it be bunt or no bunt, sending a runner or not. And over the course of a season, you become more familiar with those decisions. Count now 3-1 on Flashner. And if he can get on, he would, of course, represent the winning run. And that one sliced foul. It's now 3-2. Payoff pitch on its way. And that's outside for ball 4. Shriver frustrated with himself. And now Vincent Weigel will be the batter. He came up in a huge spot earlier with the bases loaded and drew a walk to bring home the game-tying run.
He was the first batter that Shriver faced out of relief. And you mentioned the numbers that Shriver had in the season. Was not an easy at-bat for Weigel, but was able to draw that walk and tie this game. And now with an extra base hit here, could win it for CSI.
And Weigel looks at a strike. Weigel at the plate in this game is 0 for 2, but does have 2 runs batted in, has drawn a walk. And they will check on Flashner at first.
And I was going to mention, Joe, how risky do the Dolphins want to get in this inning? Do they dare maybe send Flashner in to try to get him into scoring position? I feel like at this point, you can't really calculate that risk and afford that to happen, because if you get out, you're pretty much in a 2-out rally potential once again.
I can say this for sure. The Lions aren't going to let him get very far. They are going to have their eyes firmly fixed on that runner at first for as much time as they can. As Weigel bounces one towards second, and they get the out at first. So, Nick, was Flashner going on that pitch? I think he might have been, because the second baseman was headed over to cover, and the chopper forced him to come back. Larkin had to take a very awkward path to that ball. He was going.
Yeah, he
so
was
the
going.
Dolphins getting aggressive on the base paths. And now, with the winning run standing in scoring position, Chris Riley will have a chance to win it.
This is Riley's first bad appearance of this game. Remember, it came in after the Dolphins did that defensive substitution. He's the right fielder now in this game.
He is the right fielder and has a chance to become the hero as he takes a strike. First at-bat of the day for Riley. He's behind 0-1. And that breaking ball missed inside.
Yeah, Shriver thought he had that second strike right there.
Yes, he did. Riley comes in 4 for 22 on the season. John Del Brito on deck. And the 1-1 is swung on and missed. Shriver now ahead of Riley 1-2.
And if you're Riley in this spot, Joe, can't afford to be chasing any pitches in this at bat. Now down the count 1-2. You got to expect Shriver to try to go on the outside or maybe even on the inside to try to make him chase once again.
That's in the dirt. Count now 2-2. Big block behind the plate by Taggart. The pressure mounts much more quickly when that winning run moves to third. And you know you cannot afford to miss well out of the zone at risk of losing the game right there. 2-2. Bounce to third, hit slowly, and just foul.
I think after what happened in the last inning with that play at third base, I think Molloy was content with just letting that one go down the third base line, go foul. And another error they obviously cannot afford in this spot. An error would win the game for the Dolphins.
Count 2-2. And Riley rips that one foul.
Kind of had to step into that bat right there. That was an inside, maybe it looked like a fastball on that one. He was, as you mentioned, ripped it down the third base line toward the Dolphin dugout. But he does extend the at-bat here and keeps it 2-2.
Shriver comes set. Another 2-2 on its way. And that's grounded towards short. The throw across the diamond offline, but the tag was applied, and the ball remains in the glove of Dagnello. Crisis averted for Molloy on a play that very well could have ended the game. The Lions survive the errant throw, and we will head to extra innings. Our score through 9, still tied at 7. Jack Kehoe back out there for the 10th inning. So the Dolphins turn to the left-hander for a third inning of relief out of the bullpen. And Nick, for the first time this year, we enter extra innings.
Yeah, free baseball here at the CSI Baseball Complex. Tied at 7 in the top of the 10th. And we'll see if Kehoe can get his third inning of relief for the Dolphins and try to give them another chance in the bottom half of the inning to walk it off.
It is not often that we see late inning relievers sent out there for a third inning. But Kehoe will look to keep this game tied as the Dolphins and Lions remain even at 7 entering the 10th.
And I think the reason being that also is because of these teams playing the amount of games that they're playing this week, you're trying to preserve some arms for for the rest of the weekend.
I think that definitely plays a role in the decision-making. But as I said, Nick, originally this series was scheduled to be Friday, Saturday double, and then back here on Sunday. Instead, there's an off day tomorrow. And Kehoe sets down Jack Coogan swinging for the first out. And Nick, he's been really impressive out of the bullpen.
Yeah, Kehoe has done a phenomenal job out of the pen, especially in that last inning he pitched Joe. First and third, one out, and he was able to get the double play ball to get himself out of the inning. And he gets a strikeout to start off this 10th.
Joe Barresi at the plate, hits one softly on the ground to short. Flashner's throw in time, and there are quickly 2 away.
So 2 gone in the inning now for Kehoe. 1 out away from a 1-2-3 10th. And I should note also, Joe, that there is action going up in the bullpen for Molloy. I believe that is Jaden Patel that is warming up.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the binoculars are on the passenger seat of my car.
It looks like 33.
It is.
Okay.
There's a swing and a miss by Jeremy Taggart. Count 0-1 on the Lions catcher. He's 0 for 1 at the plate, getting his second at-bat of the game right here as that's chopped to second. Easy play for Leno, and the Lions go down 1-2-3 in the 10th. A quick inning for Jack Kehoe. Can't ask for much better than that. Dolphins come to bat with another chance to win it in the home 10th after this break.
Kettle Black on Staten Island, a top 5 wing joint in America by Food and Wine magazine. Serving daily lunch and dinner at the bar or on the floor. Perfect for family and group parties with top shelf drink and delicious food. From great times with good friends. Live sports and watch parties. To Staten Island's hottest nightlife. The Kettle Black features live music and DJs weekly. The Kettle Black features daily and nightly food and drink specials. The best Staten Island has to offer is at the Kettle Black. We'll see you there at the Kettle Black, located on 415 Forest Avenue, Staten Island.
Dolphins come to bat in the home 10th inning. Now, it was passed along to us from next door that Yondel's last name, or I should say his first name, is pronounced as such, Yondel Brito. So we'll go with that. Did go down the roster during the season, or during the preseason anyway.
Now,
that's taken for a strike.
If we've given the wrong information,
we know who to blame.
Yeah, we know who to blame now.
Calabozo.
Okay, I was going to call him out, but you just threw him under the bus.
That's chopped toward the middle. Brito hustling to first, beats the throw, which was well wide anyway. And the Dolphins have an infield single to lead off the home 10.
I was going to ask you, how would you score that
one?
Oh,
It's 100% a hit.
Okay.
Yeah, he was beating that. I think once Shriver lost his footing on the mound, they lost the play. It was hit too slowly.
Oh, we talked about it the last time he batted, where we expected a bunt. He didn't bunt. Does he do it here?
If he didn't before,
I don't think he would now.
With a runner on second and nobody out, would you consider doing it with a runner on first and
I
nobody out?
I don't think you
I
would.
can't imagine that if they didn't do it with a runner on second
Yeah.
and nobody out, they'd do it with a runner on first. But
I mean, the
the Lions think they are. I guess.
Keogh just throw it off.
There was nobody out with a runner on second before,
yeah,
right?
Brito let off that inning as well.
So I think then what you're thinking is you need a hit, and you believe the runner will score. So I guess when you don't need a hit to score the run, you bunt. That's the logic. It makes sense to me, but I think that since they didn't do it before, we couldn't be certain he would do it now until he squared up.
Yeah, Keogh was throwing me off a loop this entire game.
I thought they were going to bunt before with nobody out and the runner on second. But Kehoe right now is one of your hottest hitters, and I completely get not taking the bat out of his hands.
Especially with Palomini and Vigliotti up after him. I mean, you want to get him on base, surely, but you also would love to get that runner into scoring position to give your 2 and 3 hitters a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I think if you're the Dolphins, it makes perfect sense to give Palomini and Vigliotti that opportunity. But to be fair, they would have had that opportunity before with one out. And the Dolphins chose not to bunt. They did eventually get the opportunity, but not via a bunt, as Kehoe takes in the dirt.
And if he were to lay down the bunt, you obviously want to get it down the first base line. With the third baseman moving in, especially with the first baseman playing the bag.
Yeah, they're holding Brito on.
Yeah.
That opens up a hole on the right side as Kehoe bunts again and bunts it foul.
And now he'll have to swing.
Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Kehoe. He's had a nice day overall. He's 1 for 4 at the plate, but his best work has been done on the mound. And he takes a called strike 3 on the inside corner. 1 away.
Yeah, tough at bat right there for Keogh. Was trying to move the runner into scoring position initially with a bunt. But he goes down on that inside fastball for the first out of the inning. Palomini hitting that one into center field. That one drops in for a base hit. Brito, though, thought about making the turn from second to third, Joe, but wisely stays at second base, and the Dolphins now have the winning run in scoring position.
Had to step aside into the room next door very quickly, Nick. Thank you for taking over. As the Dolphins now have 2 on with 1 out here in the home 10th inning, and a base hit now could win it for the Dolphins. A.J. Vigliotti, the batter. He's 2 for 5, or make that 1 for 4.
We might get a pitching change, Joe, here for Molloy.
Palomini is now 3 for 6, and it looks like somebody ordered Jersey Mike's.
That's a lot of bags.
Unfortunately, it is going to get ice cold.
Yeah.
That has to be the team for after the game.
For the team.
I'll take one. Back in the day, we used to have different administrative meetings. I believe the NCAA came and they were hosting a meeting with all of our administrative staff. This is when I was full-time. And they ordered the Jersey Mike's catering so that at the middle of the table during the meeting, there were sandwiches lined up for you to just take.
I had a few years ago, my first year with the Jets, I had my first game that I officially worked was a high school all-star game out in Long Island. And my duty for that day was to work with the broadcasting team that day that was broadcasting the game. I think it was CBS. And our number one task was to walk down to the Jersey Mike's that was maybe 10 minutes from the stadium and just get the orders for everyone that was working in the broadcasting team that day. So I got to meet people. I'm trying to remember his name. Kenny Albert. So people like that I met that day and had to get their orders for Jersey Mike's.
So now you know the go-to. The go-to order for the A-list broadcasters of CBS?
I guess so. Well, I think also just being that close to the stadium out in Long Island this is for the Boomer Esiason All-Star game, as I mentioned. That's probably the reason why they did that, but maybe that is the case. I believe the count is 1-1. I could be wrong. It does say 2-0, but I think it's 1-1. Nonetheless, though, Joe, Vigliotti with the base hit right here could walk it off for the Dolphins.
2-0. Fouled off, and that was a big swing by Vigliotti.
Yeah, you can tell he wants to end this game in one swing. You know, for Shriver, though, this is his third inning of work unofficially. He came in relief with 2 outs in that 7th.
Lions bullpen has given up just 1 run as Vigliotti fouls off another.
Yeah, and you saw that one, Joe. That was an inside breaking ball. Vigliotti was trying to time it, but it was a little bit too inside on his hands. And he just got a piece of it. Now evens the count.
Here comes the 2-2. And Vigliotti fouls off a third. So the battle continues between Shriver and Vigliotti. We don't have the official pitch count, but Shriver's total has to be getting up there out of the bullpen. He's had to work very hard through several batters in this outing.
This might be pitch number 7 of this at bat here, too.
Another 2-2. Nearly hit him. I thought it got him initially. I don't know how Vigliotti got out of the way.
Yeah, I'm as stunned as you are, Joe. I thought that certainly hit him on at least the shoulder pad. But now he has a full count.
Payoff pitch. In the dirt, ball 4. And now Shriver going to work on that area in front of the rubber.
Yeah, he looked like he maybe slipped after he threw that last pitch. He threw that with a lot of intensity on that one, trying to get the strikeout. But now all TJ Leno has to do, Joe, is get the ball into the outfield deep enough to bring home that runner from third.
Perhaps the biggest at-bat of the season for the Dolphins thus far, and I think with this being the first game in conference play, that is a fair statement. Bases loaded, 1 out, and the first pitch to Leno is fouled straight back.
And you can look toward the Dolphin dugout, Joe. They are ready to jump over that fence and celebrate with their teammates on a potential walk-off.
Leno in this game comes to the plate 1 for 4. Comes the 0-1. Up and away, 1-1.
And for Shriver, now, after giving up that last walk, now has the bases loaded, so he can't afford another walk in this inning. He'll have to make sure that he can keep this at least in play. A double play ball would do him a lot of wonders, but with the infield in, they would have to go immediately to home first.
The 1-1. Fouled back. It's now 1-2. And the fog now has almost entirely engulfed the center fielder. Can hardly see him through the window anymore.
I know. Funny stat, too, for this game, Joe. Both teams with 7 runs on 12 hits and 2 errors in this game.
Identical lines as we play here in the 10th. Here comes the 1-2 in the dirt. And that's something else to keep in mind here. A wild pitch that gets away beats you.
Yeah.
It also, in this spot, would make it a 3-ball count, and you want to avoid that. And Leno takes down and in.
So here we go, Joe. Full count, 3-2, 1 out in the inning. The Dolphins potentially 1 pitch away for winning their first conference game of the season.
The count is full. The bases are loaded. The pitch on its way. Low ball 4, and the Dolphins win it in walk-off fashion.
It's a walk-off walk.
You don't see it very often, but a bases-loaded walk ends the game, and the Dolphins have knocked off Molloy in their conference opener.
What a way to start conference season for the Dolphins, Joe. I mentioned it before the game. You know, the Dolphins had a rough start to the season, but you kind of throw those games out the window once conference play comes to the play, and a huge job by CSI. They jumped out to that early 4-run lead. Molloy fought their way back into this game, was back and forth for the majority of this one, but some key at-bats for the Dolphins in this game really got them this victory. Weigel had the walk when Shriver came in out of relief to tie the game, and that bat right there, affording another walk for the Dolphins and getting them a 1-0 start in conference play to kick off the 2025 season.
We said it last time you and I were on the air, Nick. If the Dolphins could get things right before the start of the conference schedule, a lot of what happened early in the season would become a distant memory. They win 21-5 on Tuesday. They carry that momentum into this game, and they win by a final score of 8-7 in extra innings. The Bats got the job done today, scored 4 runs early. The Dolphins led 4-0. That lead did get away late in the 7th inning. However, we've seen it play out many times. The Dolphins have the lead, it gets away, and then all of a sudden, the game becomes lopsided. Not today. The bullpen was fantastic late in this game.
Especially Jack Kehoe.
They did give up the lead, but Jack Kehoe came in and pitched 3 scoreless innings of relief. That was enough to keep the Dolphins even, allowing them to eventually tie the score and then ultimately win the game by a final score of 8-7. Nick, final thoughts before we sign off.
I mean, a great win for CSI. It gives you some morale boost going into their next game against Molloy this upcoming weekend. We'll be back here on Sunday when these two teams meet once again. But I mentioned, like I've said a couple of times already, getting that first conference win does a lot for this team. Doesn't matter what your record was beforehand. As long as your conference record is good at the end of the day, it will give your team a chance to make it to the postseason. Let's see what happens again on Sunday.
A lot to look forward to the rest of this weekend as the Dolphins do visit Molloy for a pair on Saturday. Nick and I are then back here at the CSI Baseball Complex on Sunday. But until then, thank you for watching. Once again, this has been Joe Foreman alongside Nick Bavona on the call. Our final score in extra innings, the Dolphins defeat the Lions 8-7.